Hello everyone, my name's Aloubell, and Miraculous Ladybug is a show with fundamental issues, and its canon origin for the characters does not escape from being problematic. So, out of my disappointment, and with a sprinkle of inspiration, I rewrote the origin story into something I think would be more enticing as a show. And in the process of rewriting the origins, a new story unfolds entirely. Titled Bonds Beyond Fate instead of Ladybug, I wanted to highlight that the story is about more than just Marinette, but also about everyone involved in these fateful, tangled situations. This is the first arc of Bonds Beyond Fate, consisting of the compilation of parts 1 through 10, which you can find individually on my channel. Just as a heads up, most of part 1 is me explaining my issues with the original origins of the show, and the actual story part comes later on. And in part 3, which I never intended to exist, I had to amend some decisions I made in part 1, since I decided by that point to make this into an actual story. I promise that after that point though, it's just all story. So strap in, it's gonna be an interesting ride. Also, quick disclaimer and heads up. The first 2 or 3 parts might be a lot rougher in terms of production quality. I was still new to being a YouTuber and I didn't quite understand how to balance the audio between my speaking and background music. So I apologize if anything is hard to hear. Also, you'll get a fun little journey through time with my old backgrounds and avatar sprites and even art style. So yes, an interesting ride indeed. A fun little time capsule of sorts. Anyway, make sure you hit the like button for the algorithm, subscribe for more reviews, rants, and rewrites, put the popcorn emoji in the comments, and enjoy the first arc of Miraculous Bonds Beyond Fate. Okay, so the way that Marinette and Adrian got their Miraculous bugs me. Master Fu picked 2 teenagers out of all of Paris to be the protectors of Paris and to be the keepers of magical and valuable artifacts. Okay, so in other magical girl shows and, anime and superhero things in general, 2 teenagers being picked for reasons is pretty common, but they usually find a less, I don't want to say dumb, maybe arbitrary. The ways they usually pick them is usually like prophecy or reincarnation or some kind of predetermination that made it so it can only be those teenagers that can be the heroes. There's some outliers in there where I'm sure there's some random hero picks too, I don't know, but I'm just going to talk about Miraculous. So again, why did Master Fu choose them? Because they were the only 2 people who helped him across the street. What? Okay, so let's pick this apart a bit. For this scenario to make sense, 2 things need to be established. 1, that Master Fu had been trying this plan for all the days, for so many days, if not weeks, to try and get someone to help this old man across the street so that he doesn't die. This would at least show that he's been at it for a while and didn't just pick the first 2 people who helped him, because that would be irresponsible. Ah yes, I can just see it now. I must gather up the future heroes of Paris. How am I gonna do this? I'm going to cross the streets very slowly and look as pathetic as I can. And the first 2 people who help me, those are the ones I will give the Miraculous to. Boy, there's a lot of people in Paris. I really don't want to be doing this for that long. And, oh, look, these two kids helped me. Oh, thank you. All right, I got it on the first try. All right, you two, you guys are the ones. You are the new heroes of Paris. Yeah, that's how I think it happened. He just didn't feel like going through all those people. And 2, everyone in Paris, with the exception of Mari and Adrian, are just terrible people. Like, absolutely awful. You're telling me that in all of Paris, and hold on, let's actually look this up. Let's look up how many people live in Paris, France. All right, let's go over to our good friend Google. Population of Paris, France. Let's see, let's look what the number says. Okay, so as of 2019, there was 2.161 million people in Paris. So, give or take some hundreds or thousands, I guess, till now. So you're telling me that in all of Paris, no one would help an old man across the street? Really? Okay, so like by that logic, literally no one is qualified to be a hero except for Mari and Adrien, which means that we shouldn't be handing Miraculous out like candy the way that Mari likes to do, because no one is worthy. So I feel like that's not what the writers were intending. But if they were, then wow. That might actually have been a pretty cool premise for this show. But we all know that's not the route they went, because everyone except for like 2% of the population are all really nice, like the same flavor of nice too, which is another issue I have with this show. But we're not going to get into that. You guys are here for my rewrite of Origins as well as the power set and all that fun stuff. So let's actually get into that, shall we? This scenario begins with Master Fu training the next holder of the Ladybug Miraculous. He had been training this person for years so that they would have the skills and knowledge to wield such immense power and responsibility. The person who he has been training is none other than Gabriel Agreste. Yes, that Gabriel Agreste. In this version of the story, Gabriel had known Master Fu for years, and for some reason or another, Master Fu somewhere along the way decided to take a young Gabriel under his wing. He saw something in Gabriel, a great potential, and thought he'd be an excellent hero for Paris. How did Master Fu come across Gabriel? I don't know. He did some kind of test, but a less stupid one than the vulnerable old man across the street test. Or, I don't know. Maybe we go full Batman here, and he adopted a young orphan Gabriel and raised him. That second one might be cool, and has a lot more emotional weight for the things that will happen later. In any case, he's been training Gabriel for years and taught him everything about the Miraculous, the miracle boxes, the history of them, and everything. This would solve the mystery of how the heck Gabriel knew anything about the Miraculous, because in canon, I don't think they explained it. And if they did, correct me, but I don't think they did, and he kind of just showed up in episode 1 or Origins and boom, bad guy who has a Miraculous and who knows about the cat and Ladybug Miraculous. Right. So everything else in this scenario is fairly similar in this version compared to the original show. Somewhere along the way, Gabriel met Emily, they fell in love, married, and had Adrien. And somewhere along the way, Emily died / fell into a coma. All this time, Gabriel was still in training to earn the Ladybug Miraculous. Now, before I go on, I'd like to shout out users Hooded Rare? I'm sorry for butchering your name. Hooded Rare and Safilon for helping me learn more about the current power system in the show. I wouldn't have been able to have as much material for this video if it weren't for them, so thank you guys. Anyway, in this version of Miraculous, you can't just swap Miraculous any old time between multiple people. Nope, none of that noise. Get that out of here right now. Here, if you put on a Miraculous, it's bound to you for life. And the only way for you to lose your Miraculous is if you die. So yes, this is technically a darker version of Miraculous, but if you really think about it, the original version, or at least the PV version, was going to be darker than what we have now, so is what it is. So in this version, this is why it is super important that only the worthy get these Miraculous so that chaos doesn't befall the world. Oh, and also, there are Miraculous around the world, and this is the only way that anyone has any powers. Unless there are some Batman or Iron Man ripoffs, powers only exist with Miraculous. Yes, I'm looking at you, New York heroes, who have powers for no reason. None of that. When I say that one is bound to the Miraculous, I don't mean that they have to wear the jewelry for the rest of their lives and it's like stuck to their body or anything. No, it's more like they form a special bond with the Kwami that makes it so that only the bonded individual could activate it and transform. So simply stealing the Miraculous won't work. So yeah, Gabriel continues to train to earn the Ladybug Miraculous even after Emily dies. Goes into a coma. Whatever. He knew that a long time ago, some event led to the disappearance of the Black Cat Miraculous. He was also taught that unifying the miraculous would allow him to make a wish. He would use that wish to bring his wife back. Since no one had showed up anywhere with the powers of the Black Cat Miraculous, he knew it was still unused out there somewhere. So, he resolved to train hard as long as he needed to in order to become the Ladybug wielder, and he'd use his abilities to create a device to locate the Cat Miraculous. To him, this was a flawless plan, and so he patiently waited. By the way, Gabriel's personality is largely unchanged from the original show. He still acts cold and demanding and neglectful towards Adrian. And to add to that, he doesn't tell Adrian anything about his training or the miraculous. He's completely stuck in the dark. Eventually, the day finally came for Gabriel to get the Ladybug Miraculous. There was to be a big fancy ceremony held between Master Fu and Gabriel. However, something unfortunate happens. Master Fu ends up losing the Ladybug Miraculous case somewhere in the streets of Paris. I don't know how. It falls out of his pocket or he gets pickpocketed. I don't know. Insert arbitrary reason as to how it got lost here. All I know is that it got lost. Marinette finds the miraculous holder box thing and goes around asking people if it belongs to anyone. No one owns up to it, so she ends up taking it home. Upon opening the case, she sees the earrings and thinks they're super cute. She sees no harm in wearing them for a few minutes. And once she does this, the bond has been set and Tiki appears. Similar shenanigans from the show ensue, where Marinette is freaked out and questioning everything that's happening, yada yada yada. On the other side of town, a mysterious figure leaves the case with the Cat Miraculous near somewhere that Adrian can see it. Adrian puts on the ring and the bond is once again set. He meets Plague and shenanigans ensue. Somewhere along the way, Gabriel finds out that Master Fu lost the Ladybug Miraculous and he is absolutely outraged. He practically throws a tantrum and almost hurts Master Fu. But just before he does, he collects himself and storms off. Master Fu feels bad, of course, but also senses a dark atmosphere around Gabriel. He feels like he should talk to him, but figured he would give him some space. Gabriel goes out into the streets to try and find the miraculous. He's very desperate at this point, going around asking if anyone had seen the little box. No one had, because again, over 2 million people in Paris. And then suddenly, he and everyone hears and sees this young girl wearing a ladybug-themed superhero suit, attempting to swing around Paris and gain control. The populace take out their phones to take pictures and videos. Some try to follow her. But once Gabriel saw her, he knew that it was too late. Someone had already bonded to the Ladybug Miraculous. His miraculous. The one he had worked hard for so many years. He could see the image of his wife slipping away. Completely broken on the inside, Gabriel goes to steal 2 of the miraculous, the Butterfly Miraculous and Peacock Miraculous. He hopes at least one of them will be useful to him. Starting to go a bit crazy, he rationalizes to himself that he'll kill the current miraculous holder and get his miraculous back. It'll be fine, because once he gets the Cat Miraculous, he'll make a wish that will not only bring his wife back, but the girl too. This is when he becomes Hawkmoth. He does some villainous things to draw Ladybug out by akumatizing people. This ultimately works, as Ladybug clumsily appears onto the scene. During the fight, Ladybug is struggling and Hawkmoth thinks he has almost won. Just then, another figure shows up to the rescue. It's a teenage boy wearing a black cat superhero outfit. Hawkmoth watches on in utter shock. He can't believe it. It's the Cat Miraculous. It's been found. But now, it's bonded to someone else. Clenching his staff tight, he thinks about what he must do. He knew that if he wanted to unify them, both of those unsuspecting teens would have to die. It's for the best, he thought. I can definitely bring them back. Master Fu eventually catches up with Ladybug and Cat Noir and explains that they weren't meant to be burdened with these abilities, considering how young and inexperienced they are. He apologizes for the path before them, as he had created a monster in Hawkmoth. He doesn't want these 2 to get hurt, as it seems like Gabriel will not hold back against them, and he might not be willing to spare Paris either. Hesitantly, he tells them that their mission is to get Hawkmoth's miraculous away from him so that he'll no longer be a danger to anyone. He is then completely blunt with the two and tells them that Hawkmoth intends to kill them, so they need to be on their guard. Marinette would freak out about this and would definitely reject being Paris's hero. All she wanted was a simple life and to figure out who she's supposed to be. Dying over some problem she has nothing to do with just doesn't seem worth it. So after being told all of this by Master Fu, Mari runs back home and detransforms. Tiki sympathizes with her plight, but tries to explain the weight of the situation and how she, as Ladybug, along with Cat Noir, are Paris's only hope against someone as threatening as Hawkmoth. Even after being told all of this, Mari doesn't want to die and thinks that fate or whatever chose the wrong person. It isn't until her family and friends are in danger during Hawkmoth's next attack that she resolves to be a superhero for as long as she is needed. Of course, she's still scared, but she knows what must be done. Adrien, on the other hand, is super stoked about being a superhero. With how restrictive his life had been, thanks to his father, he minds so very little about the idea of his life being on the line. He's just happy to be free and doing something useful/helpful. So once Ladybug and Cat Noir both agree to become Paris's heroes, it's then that Master Fu tells them that, at least for now, it's probably best that they don't know each other's identities. After all, they don't know each other, and trust is really crucial right now. Their secret will keep them and their loved ones safe. And this is what begins the struggle between Hawkmoth and Ladybug and Cat Noir. Okay, so now let's get into depth about the new power system. I already explained some of it before with no more swapping Miraculous, and now you're bonded to your Kwami/Miraculous for life. The only way to lose it is if you die. And Miraculous exist all around the world. The general public doesn't know that they exist, only the holders do. And anyone they tell, I guess. In this new system, there are more stakes involved if/when identities are revealed, since you can't exactly give the Miraculous to other people. In this version, we're also going to make it super clear from the get-go that how we as viewers see and hear superheroes is different than what the civilians in the show see and hear. Sometimes, or at least early on, we'll cut away to the perspective of someone else when they look at a Miraculous user, and we'll see that their faces look different and their voices sound different than what we hear. And I guess other Miraculous holders would also be seeing this illusion too. So, just to make that clear. For example, looking at Ladybug from someone else's perspective, she doesn't look like Marinette wearing a skin-tight suit. Her face and her hair will be completely different, as well as her voice. So it'll be someone in the skin-tight Ladybug suit, but it won't obviously be Marinette. I mean, yes, it's Marinette, but it won't look like her. That's what I'm getting at. Also, if Marinette is eventually going to be the Guardian, do one of two things. 1. Have Master Fu train her early on to take on the mantle so that the decision doesn't come out of nowhere. Or 2. Make it so that Master Fu loses his memories and guardian status and Marinette takes it upon herself to do it without being asked. Or she and Cat Noir can share the responsibility. That's probably more fair. Now, let's discuss Ladybug's powers, and to this I will refer to the video game Scribblenauts. Scribblenauts is a puzzle game in which you have to solve people's problems by typing in an item or person you can think of, and the game will generate it. Some problems have only one solution, while other problems have room for more diverse solutions. But unless you go to a wiki about the game, you have to figure out the correct item for the situation, as well as spell the word correctly, obviously. The item and person generator in Scribblenauts is actually pretty extensive, so you're only limited by your imagination. Literally, like, if you see someone is thirsty, you can type in soda, you can type in milk, you can type in water, and give it to the person, and then their thirst will be gone. In Scribblenauts, you can pretty much create anything as long as it solves the problem. Create anything with... I'm going to put an asterisk on that. I'm sure there are some things in there you can't do. But the point is, for the most part, you can mostly do almost anything in that game. Do you understand where I'm going with this? Instead of Lucky Charms spitting out an item for Ladybug to use, I think that she should think of the item on her own. This will require trial and error in some cases, as well as her using her brain. Some puzzles will be easier than others, and sometimes she'll need help thinking of something, but she will have the ability to create almost anything. Of course, she needs some limits. The bigger the item, the more energy gets drained out of her, and there is a longer cooldown period. Or she can have a cooldown period regardless, and maybe as she gets better using her powers, the cooldown period diminishes. Regarding the whole turning back to your civilian form after you do X power thing, I guess the system I'm coming up with now kind of eliminates that. I mean, I don't really care about that one so much, but I guess it's gone in this case, since I'm giving Ladybug the ability to create as much as she wants within reason, and depending on how big it is and how complicated, I guess. So no more time limit. I guess if the heroes get drained of their energy, then they can turn back, like completely drained, or if they get knocked out, then they would turn back. Then that's fine. Oh yeah, and Miraculous Ladybug, the power, not the show, no longer has the ability to bring people back from the dead. No, none of that lack of consequences thing the show likes to do. We actually need stakes around here. Speaking of lack of stakes, no time travel. At least no OP Bunny Miraculous. The only time we're allowed to mess with time is with Sass's second chance ability. That's it. In this scenario, the Bunny Miraculous gets a different power. Maybe super speed or the ability to multiply, because rabbits are good at multiplication.
But Aloe, the mouse Miraculous, can already multiply.
Yeah, I know. Take that power away and give the mouse Miraculous the power to both grow and shrink. That should be enough powers for one Miraculous. By the way, if you want to hear me rant about the time travel system of this show, I got 2 videos for ya. One of them will be up in the iCard in the upper right. Also, let's give Cat Noir a reason to exist, since usually Ladybug does all of the heavy lifting. How about instead of Ladybug being the only one to ultimately save the day, make it so that Ladybug has the ability to separate the civilian from the akumatized form / monster and purify them, while Cat Noir, with this cataclysm, is left destroying the monster itself. That way, they both have equal importance. Without Ladybug, the person remains suffering and in their akumatized form, and without Cat Noir, the empty akumatized monster continues to wreak havoc. Now, regarding Ladybug's boring as heck hero costume, either give her a more exciting costume to begin with, or give her a legitimate reason to have such a bland outfit. This is my mini rant here. That outfit is so bland. Why did they give it to her? Literally every other hero has a more exciting outfit than the main character of the show. Seriously, it's just a skin-tight suit with polka dots. You know, Ladybugs have wings. Maybe could have given her like a little cape or something. And before all you Edna mode stands come at me, yes, I know capes are dangerous, but you don't have to make them dangerous, or you can and actually apply it to the show, but don't actually kill your main characters. But like, give her a more exciting outfit. I mean, we have season 4 now where her outfit's actually different, and I do appreciate that, but it took 4 seasons, 3.25 whatever seasons in order for her to get a better outfit. Her outfit bugs me so much. I'm sorry, her initial outfit. Her non-upgrade outfit bothers me. It's so boring. In my opinion. Sorry. I know the designers work hard on the show, all of the animators, people who do character designing and all that. I'm sure they're all lovely people, and they work hard day after day designing characters for this show, and I'm sure other shows as well. I'm sure you all, once again, are great people who have an awesome sense of humor. I just want a reason for why her outfit is that, or something. I know you guys can't really undo the first 3 point whatever seasons, but oh boy. Well, anyway, rant over. Anyway, in the scenario that I'm telling you about, my new origins scenario, Mari has loving parents still, but they have the expectation that she will take over for their bakery one day. Like maybe when she was a little kid, like a little kid, she had the full intention of taking over the bakery. She loved being in there. She loved baking. She loved, the whole bakery experience. And so her parents just kind of assumed that that's what she would be doing. And so as she got older, they would keep pushing it. And seeing how happy the thought made her parents, Mari agreed to it, even though she didn't want to be a baker anymore. So at the beginning of the story, Mari is not sure what she wants to do with her life or what she's passionate about, which is why her Ladybug costume lacks creativity. It's only through her exposure to Adrian and his model lifestyle and having more contacts with even Chloe's mom in the fashion industry that she learns she has a passion for fashion. After she's done some of her own designs, it is through this that she graduates to a more elaborate and less boring hero outfit. On a different note, should Marinette give everyone in her class a Miraculous like she's doing in the show? I don't really mind if she does, but only if something cool or significant to the story comes out of it. The more people who have Miraculous, the more likely someone is going to mess up and Hawkmoth will notice. Hawkmoth, in my version of the story, is a bit less stupid and pays more attention to things. So, I would definitely have some accidental reveals happen with some of the classmates that leads to consequences, such as the press not leaving them alone and Hawkmoth using this information to his advantage. Heck, maybe one of the Miraculous users might have to leave Paris in order to avoid staying in danger. But I think a class-wide superhero thing could work. After all, look at My Hero Academia. Only no one in class knows each other's identities. Mari would have to deal with a lot of different personalities and learn how to be the leader of a group and learn which Miraculous are useful to what situation. This idea has potential that the show proper isn't tapping into fully, I think. So the alternative to all of this is just keeping the superhero team small to the main five of Ladybug, Cat, Turtle, Fox, and Bee. I know there are a lot of people out there who don't like that Marinette gives Miraculous to literally everybody in her class, and I can understand that logic, because when you're giving out Miraculous to anybody, then the Miraculous doesn't seem as special anymore. So I understand how people wouldn't like everybody getting a Miraculous. So just having the main five hero group, that would work too. But I think since there are other Miraculous users in the world, I'm just not opposed to the classmates getting Miraculouses. Master Fu had sat on this valuable piece of information for a while. He knew exactly who Hawkmoth was. Gabriel Agreste, his former faithful student and basically his adopted son. But due to the shame of having created Paris's most dangerous villain, he didn't want to fully admit his blunder to the young superheroes Ladybug and Cat Noir. Part of him was also hoping that everything was just a bad dream, and the nightmare would resolve itself at some point, but no. Gabriel was dead set on his plan and continued to terrorize Paris for the next few days in order to get the Miraculous he believed was rightfully his. But Master Fu knew the longer he put this off, the more people would suffer. Would these teen heroes even take him seriously anymore if they realized his stupid mistake caused so many problems for so many people? He was supposed to be the one guiding them, and yet, there's no point in pondering on this even further, Master Fu thought to himself. I must take responsibility. And so, Master Fu finally revealed the identity of Hawkmoth to Ladybug and Cat Noir. Being completely shocked at hearing his father's name, Cat Noir accidentally blurted out that that was his father. Both Ladybug and Master Fu realized he was Adrien Agreste. Master Fu then felt even worse about everything, because now he involved Gabriel's son in this dangerous mission. A mission he can't even back out of because he's bound to one of the most powerful Miraculous for life. Master Fu essentially believes he ruined the Agreste family. Mari, on the other hand, is trying to wrap her head around the idea that her crush was Cat Noir this whole time. Adrien and Cat Noir act completely different. She then thinks that she's such a fake fan for not recognizing Adrien, who was right there the whole time. And then she remembers that their superhero forms mask their true appearances, so there's a little bit of an excuse there. Hundreds of thoughts go through her mind as she tries to keep her composure, also wondering if she's said or done anything stupid since they started working together as heroes. She's completely lost focus on the severity of the situation at this point. But at least she manages to keep her own identity a secret. Cat Noir almost doesn't care that he just revealed his identity, he just questions Master Fu on what they'll do about his father. Like Mari, he can't seem to get his head straight on this whole thing and is low-key in denial about it. Master Fu tells him about the history between him and Hawkmoth, ending his explanation by saying that Hawkmoth must be stopped. It's at this point that Ladybug gets out of her own head and focuses on the issue at hand. Master Fu says that regardless of his personal feelings towards him, they need to deal with Hawkmoth. The most ideal plan would be to take away his Miraculous. He may be bound to his Kwami, but he can't become Hawkmoth without the brooch. But if something goes wrong and they aren't able to get the Miraculous away from him, they might have to execute a more permanent solution. Cat Noir gasps at the thought of losing his father. Seeing his distress, Ladybug tells him that it won't come to that. They'll do everything in their power to not hurt him and to only take his Miraculous away. She wonders how they'll even go about this, though. Cat Noir tells Foo and Ladybug that he'll handle this. Seeing their surprised faces, Cat tells them that his father will be more likely to listen to him, as Adrien, since they're family. He'll end this whole thing peacefully. No one else will have to get hurt. Master Fu is hesitant toward this idea, borderline thinking it's foolish since he knows Gabriel and how unhinged he is at the moment. Ladybug, however, encourages this plan, telling Cat that she trusts him. She wants this conflict to end ASAP, but realizes how hard this must be on Cat, so she'll let him deal with this his way. So, over the next few days, Adrien tries to confront his father throughout their daily lives about the whole situation. He never seems to find the right time to do so. He ponders on whether or not he could just take the Miraculous when his dad was undressing or taking a shower or something, but he found that his father took it wherever he went and never allowed it to leave his sight, much to his dismay. Natalie, Gabriel's assistant, noticed Adrien eyeing his father's brooch and asked him what was wrong. Adrien played it off, saying it was nothing. Gabriel was a busy person, but it wasn't impossible to get him alone. Something always just seemed to be holding Adrien back. Gabriel, however, had no hesitation in his own plans, as his attacks against Ladybug, Cat Noir, and Paris occurred daily. Marinette, sympathetic to Adrien's plight, is initially very patient with him, enduring the attacks and giving her partner his space to work out this issue. She has a hard time still with Adrien and Cat being the same person and doesn't know how to feel about it, but eventually she becomes more troubled that she can't reveal herself to him since she can't fully support him the way she wants to. Every day, Ladybug asks Cat Noir how things are going with his father, and every day, Cat has a new excuse as to why he couldn't get his Miraculous. She also noticed that Adrien/Cat Noir was progressively looking more and more disheveled and exhausted the more time went by. He was even making mistakes in school and during crime fighting. Even Gabriel noticed his son looking troubled and out of sorts and tries asking him what's wrong. Even with this perfect opportunity to talk to his father about the whole situation, Adrien simply says he's just a bit stressed out by a big exam he has coming up. Gabriel asks Natalie for her advice regarding his son, and she says she'll talk to Adrien for him. Natalie takes Adrien off to the side and gently asks him if anything's wrong. She also says she saw right through his exam excuse and wants to know the truth. She says she and his father are worried about him. Adrien asks what to do if he found out a horrible secret about someone he cares about. Natalie asks, is the secret harmful to this person or others? Adrien says it is. Natalie tells him that if he truly cares about this person, he needs to confront them and try to help them, and if contacting the authorities is necessary, he should do that as well, or maybe do that first depending on how dangerous it is. Even if the person will be mad at him, he needs to consider the well-being of this person and others above sentimentality. Adrien agrees with this and thanks her. The days go by with the same routine of Hawkmoth's attack and Adrien not talking to his father. One night, after defeating another Akuma, Ladybug, now with the rose-colored glasses finally taken off, has reached her height of annoyance and frustration regarding everything, and she blows up at Cat Noir, telling him that she's sick of them almost getting killed. She also hates seeing Cat Noir so exhausted and miserable. She tells him that if he doesn't confront his father tonight, she will deal with him tomorrow, with or without Cat's help. Cat tells her that he doesn't want Ladybug to go against his father because he's scared it'll turn into a big fight. Everyone will find out who Hawkmoth is, and his father will likely go to jail. He doesn't want to be without both of his parents. Ladybug is sympathetic to his plight. She understands the importance of family and knows that this is hard on him, but people are suffering and most can't defend themselves. What his father is doing is wrong and he needs to be stopped. She tells him that if he wants to avoid the worst case scenario, he needs to confront his father. Cat was also scared of what his father would potentially do to him. He loved his father, he really did, but it was a scary thought that his father would be mentally and emotionally capable of hurting others and not caring about the damage he was causing. He was really hoping his father would stop on his own, but Cat knew that wouldn't happen. He had to face him. Not too long after Adrien returned home, he requested a meeting with his father in his father's study. Adrien finally got the courage to tell Gabriel that he knew his identity as Hawkmoth. Strangely enough, Gabriel was not surprised about Adrien knowing. He says that Natalie figured out that Adrien knew by the clues he was giving off in the past few days. Gabriel apologizes to Adrien for the stress that must have put him through. For a moment, this softer side of his father gave Adrien relief. and hoped that his conversation would have favorable results. Adrian then realizes that his father alluded to the fact that Natalie also knew Hawkmoth's identity, which was a tad concerning. Where was Natalie anyway? Gabriel asks if Master Fu was the one who told Adrian, but Adrian just remains quiet, unsure if he should reveal that information. Gabriel assumes that this is the case and is aggravated at the old man for involving his innocent son. Gabriel then proceeds to explain to Adrian why he's doing what he's doing as Hawkmoth, trying to bring back his wife, Adrian's mother. He expresses that he wants to make everything perfect for them again, and that he wants Adrian to help him in his plight. Adrian is conflicted because he does want his mom back, but at the same time, he doesn't want to die. His father doesn't seem to know that he's Cat Noir, but in order for that wish to be made, both Ladybug and Adrian would have to lose their lives in order to lose their bonds with their Miraculous. Even if his life weren't on the line, Adrian doesn't want people to suffer just because he wants to see his mom again. Adrian tells his father that in order for that wish to be granted, Ladybug and Cat Noir will have to die. Gabriel calmly says he'll make it all right in the end. They won't stay dead for long, he promises. It's at this point that Adrian truly realizes that his dad is willing to kill in order to bring his mother back. If he finds out his son is Cat Noir, what will he do? Will he stand down or double down? The fact that he didn't know the answer made Adrian terrified for himself and Ladybug, the girl he was in love with. Adrian says that he won't join his father. He won't support anything he's doing. He even says that his mother would not appreciate anything that his father is doing and would reprimand him. Disappointed, Gabriel sighs and has Adrian forcibly locked in his room, taking away his phone and his electronics so that he can't contact any authorities. He even has guards block the door. Gabriel is hoping that Adrian will eventually come to his senses and aid him in his quest. Meanwhile, Adrian sits on his bed completely disheartened. Plague tries to cheer him up, but nothing seems to work. A few moments later, outside of Adrian's window, Ladybug can be seen hanging off of her yo-yo string, looking into Adrian's room. She knocks on the glass. Adrian is shocked to see her and he lets her in. She reveals she's been on the roof to his mansion the entire time, waiting to see what would happen. And by the look of Adrian's face, she can tell that things didn't go well. Adrian goes back to sitting on his bed, looking down and feeling sorry for himself. He tells Ladybug what happened. Not wanting him to be upset, she tries comforting him, telling him they'll come up with a different plan. It'll be fine. She apologizes that he had to go through all of that stress on his own the past several days, all for this to be the result. Ladybug asks him what he wants to do. After thinking about it for a few more moments, Adrian gets a determined look on his face as he transforms into Cat Noir. Not saying anything to Ladybug, she understands what he's getting at, and they nod to each other and exit out of the room via the window. While Gabriel walks through the hallway of his home, he is confronted by Ladybug and Cat Noir. Gabriel is shocked to see them and asks how they got into his house. They tell him not to worry about that, and they also tell him that they know he's Hawkmoth and how Master Fu told them everything. They also tell him that it was their plan to send in Adrian to confront him to see if he'd listen to reason from his son and end this peacefully. But, seeing as how he's not willing to reform for his own son, it was their turn to deal with him. They straight up say they're here to take his Miraculous. Gabriel, hearing that they were in contact with Adrian, realized that Adrian is probably not in his room anymore. He demands that they tell him where his son is. The duo reveal that he is safe, but they won't return him until they're sure that his father is no longer a villain. He's honestly safer with them than with Gabriel. Ladybug holds out her hand and tells Gabriel to hand over his Miraculous. They don't want to fight. Even Gabriel's Kwame encourages him to stand down. Gabriel hesitates as he doesn't want to lose his son. However, he's already come this far, so he vocally and adamantly refuses. Ladybug and Cat Noir prepare to physically restrain him and prevent him from transforming, but at that moment, a giant monster crashes through the wall, distracting the two heroes. Gabriel takes this as an opportunity to get away. Ladybug and Cat Noir frantically question what that thing is as they try to fight it off. Cat looks around for his father, but says he lost track of him. They wonder where this monster even came from. This is when a lady with blue skin, an elegant gown, and a feather fan reveals herself from a safe distance, telling the two of them that she won't allow them to interfere with Gabriel's plans. Another Miraculous holder? Hawkmoth has allies? If his father is Hawkmoth, then this lady must be... Natalie? Cat wonders out loud. Ladybug asks who Natalie was. The lady then tells them she is Mayura, and she will do whatever it takes to help Hawkmoth. Cat was certain that this was Natalie. Ladybug and Cat Noir spend some time fighting the monster as Mayura helps Gabriel escape without a trace. After a while, the monster disappears out of thin air, leaving nothing but a white feather. After everything is said and done, the two heroes are left staring down at the destruction caused by that monster, listening to police and firefighter sirens as they come closer to the aggressed mansion. Cat Noir suddenly embraces Ladybug. This initially makes her blush, but she realizes he's shaking and crying. After all of this, he's finally broken down. She hugs him back and says how sorry she is about everything. Cat blames himself and said he was too weak to do anything. Ladybug assures that they couldn't predict what would happen. They had no idea a giant monster would come out of nowhere or that there would be another Miraculous holder. It's not his fault. Cat is also upset that he probably lost his father too. He feels so alone in this situation. Ladybug tells him that he's not alone and that she's here for him. Thinking it over for a few more moments, Ladybug de-transforms, revealing her identity as Marinette. Cat is surprised by this revelation. Mari tells him that they're in this together, for better or worse. She says she doesn't know how, but they'll stop Hawkmoth and Mayura, and they'll bring his father back home. She asks that he just be a bit patient for now. Be patient and trust her. Cat looks into her sincere eyes and says he trusts her. Mari holds up her fist and says, "So, partners?" He smiles at her and says, "Partners." Then they pound their fists together. The two of them then see the police and firefighters investigating the scene below. As Marinette transforms back into Ladybug, Cat says he has no idea where he's going to live now. His guardian is gone. He might have to go live with his aunt and cousin who live nowhere near the area. If he has to commute back and forth just to fight Hawkmoth, he'll never get anywhere in time. Saving the day will be impossible. Ladybug comes up with an idea. After doing some quick research, she uses her powers to create a very official-looking government document, as well as a perfectly crafted forged letter saying that Gabriel Agreste gives full custody of Adrien over to Chloe Bourgeois' parents. Since the Bourgeois family was close friends with the Agrestes, it didn't seem too out there that Gabriel would leave Adrien to them. The forged letter also mentioned that Gabriel was going on a trip in some obscure location for inspiration for his next fashion line and didn't know when he'd return. If this isn't believable enough, Ladybug could also create a fabricated video of Gabriel saying all of this to make it more legitimate. So, after everything was said and done, Adrien began his new life living with Chloe and her family, much to Chloe's happiness and Marinette's dismay. Still, she was happy she could help Adrien stay. She was even happier that she got to keep her partner. Since Chloe's parents were more hands-off, Adrien had the freedom to not only be a hero, but to be a normal teen during his off time with Mari and his other new school friends. Ladybug and Cat Noir officially start their endeavor of stopping Hawkmoth, who has a secret lair somewhere and continues as a kumatization of people in his attempt to take out Ladybug and Cat Noir. With the help of Mayura, things will certainly be tricky, but Ladybug and Cat Noir are up for the challenge for the sake of their loved ones. Now the story truly begins. Before I get into the story, I wanted to let you know of some changes I've decided to make that also count for parts 1 and 2. I didn't intend for this to become a series, and thus I have to make some adjustments. Firstly, Adrien's mom Emily is dead in this story. No ambiguous comatose state such as in the show, no disappearance, she has passed away and everyone knows it. Second, I initially had some confusing dynamic between the Cat and Ladybug Miraculous in terms of their powers. In attempts to balance out their roles better, I made a weird decision. Ignore what I said before. What did I say before? Don't worry about it. After getting some feedback from you all in past videos of mine, I've decided that when it comes to defeating Sentimonsters and akumatized victims, Ladybug's role will be creating a solution to the problem and locating the item that needs to be destroyed, and Cat Noir's role will be destroying the item as well as purifying the Akuma/Amok. Quite a few of you enlightened me about how purification is the destruction of impurities, and I like that idea. So, thank you to everyone who pointed that out. Thirdly, regarding Miraculous Ladybug, the power. Yeah, that's no longer a thing. I can't justify keeping it around since it has nothing to do with creation. Once an Akuma or Amok is purified, anything happening to the people or environment as a result of the attack stops happening. So, for example, if everyone was turned into zombies by an Akuma, then they stop being zombies when the Akuma is purified. Other things such as collateral damage and injuries remain and have to be tended to on their own. I don't know, I just sort of like the idea of the heroes using their powers individually to help benefit society, rather than one magical undo button. Also, in this story, the items Ladybug creates with Lucky Charm look just like normal objects. They are not red with black polka dots. Fourth, because I never meant for this to turn into a series, I never established what Adrien was doing before he became Cat Noir. When he started school, Chloe pretty much claimed all access to him, and since she was the only person he knew, he went along with her. He saw her be stuck up and mean to people, but he kept his mouth shut because he didn't want to lose his only friend. Mari automatically thought he was like Chloe by association, and yes, this sounds a lot like canon, but just roll with me here. Speaking of which, number 5, Mari, Alia, and Nino are childhood friends, thus eliminating the problem in the show that Mari immediately became best friends with Alia after meeting her for the first time. Nino does not have a crush on Mari. He and Alia mutually like each other, but haven't told each other. When Adrien first arrived at school, both Alia and Nino weren't present for class. Either they were both out sick, or one was sick and the other had a family event, so Mari was left at school on her own to fend for herself against Chloe. Chloe, seeing that Mari was alone, laid the bullying on even thicker. The harsher parts of the bullying happened when Adrien wasn't around. Maybe he was in the bathroom or something. But when he returned, Mari didn't like him because he's friends with Chloe. The whole gum in the seat thing happens, as well as the misunderstanding between Mari and Adrien, yada yada yada. The umbrella scene still happens, I suppose. 6th, I decided to get rid of Sabrina. Or at least, she's not Chloe's right-hand person. And lastly, 7, Gabriel was taken in by Master Fu as a teen, and Gabriel has serious father trust issues and thus never allowed himself to get attached to Fu. Or at least, he won't admit any attachment to Fu. Because of this, he never told Adrien about Fu, not only for the reasons mentioned above, but he also didn't want Adrien involved with the Miraculous. Yes, I know in the last part I did mention the connection between Master Fu and Gabriel, but it was very wishy-washy because again, I never intended this to be a series, but now I am making it more defined. This is what their relationship is. Everything else mentioned in parts 1 and 2 remained the same to my AU. Those are the only changes/additions. The confrontation with Gabriel Agreste, otherwise known as Hawkmoth, had occurred on Thursday evening. As the authorities continued their investigation into the event at the Agreste Manor, Ladybug and Cat Noir went to visit Master Fu. Not only did they give him a detailed explanation of what happened, but Ladybug decided it was only fair to reveal her identity to Master Fu as well, since he already knew Cat's identity. Now all 3 of them were in the loop. Master Fu felt terrible about everything that happened. He apologized to Adrien for his troubles and wished he could do everything differently. Adrien asked Fu why his father never mentioned him. Fu says it's complicated, but a big reason was to keep Adrien away from the Miraculous. Gabriel never wanted that kind of burden on his son's shoulders. Fu tries to assure Adrien that Gabriel honestly wanted the best life for him. Reflecting on said life, Adrien was a bit skeptical of that. He loved his father, but didn't exactly love how he had been raising him. Not that knowing about the Miraculous would have changed the current situation at all, but maybe he could have convinced his father that it would have been alright even if he didn't have the Ladybug Miraculous. Maybe he could have convinced his father that they didn't need that kind of power. Master Fu sighs and says he knows it's hard, even for him, but they can't get bogged down with what ifs. They need to move forward, even him. They have a duty to get the Miraculous back from Gabriel and Natalie. They must find them. To his surprise, the 2 teens, with confidence, guarantee that they will get the job done. He notices a new fire in their eyes, one that wasn't there before. Could he really rely on these 2? He could sense the trust in each other. That's good, he thought to himself. They're going to need that trust moving forward. I still don't like that I have to rely on teenagers for this, but I have no choice. Fu finally decides to sit the 2 of them down and explain what the Miraculous and Kwame are, where they come from, and why they matter so much to the universe as a whole. He talked about the abstract concepts and how they relate to the Kwames and how destructive the Kwames are on their own when they use their powers. The Miraculous were eventually made so that the Kwames, who used to be more spirit-like and unable to interact with physical beings, would be able to be tangible and communicate with people. In extension, the Miraculous allows users to access a small portion of the Kwame's power when the activation command is given. However, the Miraculous, despite the name, aren't some free miracles. In order for the Kwami to gain physical form and share their power, they must connect themselves with the souls of the human that agrees to wear the miraculous. The human is essentially the medium through which the Kwamis can be physical entities. In a sense, the human host is sharing a part of their existence, their humanity, with the Kwamis, while the Kwamis share a part of their existence, their divine power, with the humans. This is why a Kwami can't be shared even if a miraculous is worn by someone other than the host. They are bound to each other until the host dies. Fortunately, it's not like the Kwami is draining the life of their holder. They simply live together in harmony. For the most part, throughout history, miraculous holders have used the powers gained through their partnership for the good of mankind, but some holders decided to use their power for nefarious reasons. Adrian's face fell even more when he heard this, thinking about his father. Master Fu continued, "When such events happen, it's always up to the other miraculous holders to put a stop to them in some way or another by, at best, taking away the miraculous and, at worst, ending the life of the villain." Marinette asks how many miraculous there are. Master Fu tells them that there are as many miraculous as there are abstract concepts in the world. Because of the amount of power these items held, it was decided, many years ago, by the hidden leaders of the world to divide the miraculous and keep them spread across the globe. And in order to maintain order, guardians were appointed to look after these miraculous that are kept in special containers called miracle boxes. It's a guardian's job to not only look after an active miraculous, but also to keep and pass on the knowledge of the miraculous to future holders and guardians. It's also a guardian's job to find worthy holders, train them, keep tabs on them, and, if necessary, retrieve any miraculous that fall into the wrong hands. This is when Master Fu takes out his miracle box and shows the duo the remaining miraculous. Mari and Adrian gasp. "You're the guardian?" Mari asked. "I'm a guardian, yes. There are 7 active guardians in the world, 1 for each continent. I am the guardian of the Asian miracle box." 7 guardians. So if there's an Asian miracle box, shouldn't there be a European miracle box? Adrian asked. "Yes, there is," Fu told him. "Well, where is it? Who has it? Maybe we can ask for help with my father." "Not possible," Fu admits. "What? Why?" "Most of us guardians know each other and have open communication. However, the guardian of the European miracle box is a different case. They believe that the miraculous are dangerous and unnecessary to society. They think they shouldn't be used unless the world is in dire peril. Even then, I'm sure they try to come up with an excuse as to why they can't be used. It is their belief that, as humans, we should use our own abilities to fix our problems and not rely on Kwami's powers, for it'll make us complacent as a society. This has been the case for generations with their guardians, which is why Europe hasn't seen any miraculous activity for hundreds of years. Because of their more extreme ideology, the European guardians refuse to reveal their identity, always using a cloak and voice-changing device to hide themselves. We almost never have a reliable means of getting into contact with them. Truly, the miracle is them showing up whenever we have a guardian gathering. All of that is to say that even if I wanted to ask them for help, I wouldn't know how. Hearing all of that made Adrian clench his fists in frustration. He wanted to call out the European guardian for their selfishness, but he knew he'd just be yelling out into the void. There was a means of getting his father back and saving Paris, but they refused to help. His body shook from anger. "Well, that's stupid," Mari exclaimed, unashamed. Adrian looked over at her in surprise. "Hawkmoth is using a miraculous to terrorize Paris, which is in France, which is in Europe. I'd say this is a big enough problem to whip out the European miraculous. Adrian and I could have had help this entire time, and they just aren't doing anything about it?" She groaned. "I wish we could just track them down or something." And that's when Mari got an idea. "Hey, why don't I just create a tracker with my ladybug powers? I can find the European guardian. No, wait. I can track down your dad, Adrian." She looked over and beamed at him. Hope came back into Adrian's eyes and he started to smile. Really? She smiled and nodded. "Yeah, I totally should have thought about that before. We can find him in no time." "Actually," Master Fu told them, "you can't. With the power of creation, the ladybug is potentially the strongest miraculous of them all and could easily find ways to overshadow the other miraculous. In the wrong hands, this could be disastrous. In anticipation of this, the monks who created the miraculous put some limitations on the ladybug. The ladybug cannot track the activity of the other miraculous or their users, and the ladybug cannot create anything that can directly affect or target the other miraculous and their users. In other words, you cannot, in Ladybug form, take away another holder's Miraculous, and you can't, for example, create a boxing glove and use that glove to hit another Miraculous user. If you try, there will be a magical interference repelling you away. Because of this limitation, Ladybug Miraculous holders have had to be clever in how to solve problems regarding other Miraculous users. Mari's mouth went agape as she looked at him in disbelief. She then closed her mouth and looked down in defeat. I just thought... Seeing Mari's disappointment and even feeling some of it himself, Adrien put a hand on her shoulder and gave her a sincere, sympathetic smile. Thanks for the thought, Mari. It really was a good idea. She gave him a small smile and then sighed and frowned again. I'm so sorry, Adrien. I can't believe how much is working against us right now. Adrien thought for a moment about their options. He then remembered Natalie in her villain form, Myra. Wait, so my father stole two Miraculous, the butterfly and the peacock, Master Fu informed them. And since even that one has a holder now, I'm concerned about the dreadful combination of power against our city. Adrien then said, yeah, that's terrible, but I saw how big the Asian miracle box is. You have even more Miraculous, right? Just give out some more Miraculous to trustworthy people, and if we all work together, we can defeat my father. It's not that simple, Adrien, Fu told him. How so? I was training your father for years to not only become a guardian, but also to become a Miraculous holder and fully understand the weight of being a Miraculous holder. What happened with you and Marinette is not typical. We guardians train the bodies, souls, and minds of those who have a deep understanding of this life. I can't simply hand these Miraculous out to just anyone. But, Adrien tried to interject, but Fu stopped him. Not only that, but many of the Miraculous from the Asian miracle box already have caretakers or holders throughout the different countries and regions of Asia. Yes, I have a few with me, but don't you think it would have been irresponsible for me to have them all in my possession? What if someone with evil intentions ever stole the box? They would have access to each of the Miraculouses. Besides, Asia is a big continent. If ever a disaster happened in any part of it and they needed a hero, it's best to have one already established nearby than to come to me. With the system I have, I know the identities of all the holders of the Miraculous from my box, and they all have my information as well. All of that is to say that I cannot form nor call upon a huge army of Miraculous holders from Asia, as that would leave parts of the continent defenseless. Besides, Fu turned his back to them. If they found out I allowed two of the Miraculous to be stolen, they might not respect me anymore.
Wait, is this about your pride? Mari exclaimed. With all due respect, Master Fu, and I'm also taking into account how Asia needs its protectors, but Hawkmoth is terrorizing Paris using a Miraculous from the Asian box, and he's trying to kill us. I understand you can't just give Miraculous away to make new heroes, but can't you call one or two heroes to come help us?
She has a point, Adrien added. I feel like the other Miraculous holders would want to know that one of their own has gone rogue. They'd have to feel some sense of responsibility, right?
Master Fu sighed. Master Fu, I know it's hard to admit when you've made a mistake, Mari gently tells him, but this is important. You helped keep people safe from bad guys for so many years, and you helped keep things organized. There's no doubt that the people who hold the Miraculous respect you. I don't think that'll change because of something like this. You said it before, right? People have used the Miraculous for evil in the past, and it's the duty of the Miraculous holders to stop them, right? That's what they're trained for? So let them do their job. Adrien watched her give her speech in awe. Unknowingly to Mari, he smiled at her in admiration. After a few moments of silence, Master Fu sighed again and said, You're right, young Marinette, you're right. He turned to face them again. I'll see what I can do. After a couple more conversations of less importance, the trio prepared to call it a day. Master Fu then tells them that whenever they come to visit, always come in their hero forms. They never know if Hawkmoth is using some means to spy on them. The two agree to this. So they both transform and leave, promising to meet back with Fu soon. Fu says to himself that he will also join the search for Hawkmoth, and he wishes them both good luck. In the meantime, he wonders, as he's been doing for a while now, how Adrien even came into the possession of the Black Cat Miraculous. That Miraculous had been lost for decades, and then Adrien just suddenly has it? Why now? Why him? The answers to these questions would have to wait as there were more pressing issues at hand.
On Friday, Ladybug had used her powers of creation to forge custody documents for Adrian so that he could stay in town. He was to stay with Chloe and her father Andre, the mayor. Ladybug's documentation had looked so official that any legal official who had looked upon it was convinced that it was legitimate. And so, that part was settled. Throughout that whole process, Adrian kept a brave face as his life had turned even more upside down than it already had upon receiving his miraculous. Mari sensed her friend's distress and tried to comfort him, but he'd tell her that he was fine. He deeply appreciated her support and knew she was sincere, and he had every intention of sticking by her side and seeing this conflict through to the end. He just needed some time to himself. And so, Adrian gathered his belongings from his former home, giving one last glance to the familiar walls, and moved in with Chloe and her father. Chloe, of course, was overjoyed. She didn't even bother questioning why this was happening. All that mattered was that it was. Her Adrikins would be even closer to her now. It was a dream come true. Chloe squeezed him in a hug and jumped for joy as she rushed him into the house, ordering her servants to grab his things for him. Mari wasn't too far away, hiding behind the gate to the manor. She glared at Chloe. Mari wanted to help Adrian get settled in, but she didn't want to deal with Chloe. That wasn't the drama Adrian needed right now. At least he has a place to stay, she told herself, and we'll continue to work together as partners and as friends. We're friends. She hadn't had time to completely marinate on that fact. So much had been happening that she didn't realize she was friends with the boy she had been pining for, Adrian Agreste. On top of that, she felt completely comfortable around him now. It was weird. Learning he was Cat Noir, someone she had completely platonic feelings for, and getting to know him, and even getting annoyed at his inaction against his father snapped her out of her lovey-dovey stupor. But what does that mean exactly? "Hey, Baker girl!" Chloe's shrill voice permeated through Marinette's brain as the blonde one screamed in her ear. Apparently Chloe had been trying to get Mari's attention, but Mari was too lost in thought. Mari tried to come up with an excuse for why she was there, but Chloe wouldn't hear it. "You're here to stalk my dear Adrikins, aren't you? How pathetic. Don't be such a weirdo. You stand no chance against the fabulous me. Only I get to comfort him. Now get off my property!" She screamed that last part. Mari lost her balance as Chloe took an authoritative step forward on that last command. "Just so you know, I was delivering some baked goods nearby, so I just happened to spot you guys. You're the weird one for even suggesting I do something so creepy." That was a flimsy excuse, she thought to herself. She actually had no good way to justify her existence there, so all she could do was leave. After glaring once more at Chloe, of course. Chloe gave a squeaky "Hm," as she watched Marinette leave. She then went back into her mansion. A bit embarrassed, Mari opened up her tiny purse hanging off of her shoulder and whispered, "Tiki, why didn't you warn me that Chloe was coming?" The small creature looked up at her. "I'm sorry, Marinette. I tried getting your attention, but you were lost in thought. I couldn't risk revealing myself with all of those people around her house. I truly am sorry, though. I never meant for that girl to get a bad impression of you." Mari shook her head. No, it's not your fault. Chloe's had a bad impression of me since we were small. I could stand in the room completely still, and she'd still have something nasty to say." "That's so rude. I wonder, does standing still offend her?" "It's more like my existence offends her, and I could never figure out why," Marinette said with a bit of sadness in her voice. "I can't imagine why she dislikes you so. I haven't known you for very long, but I think you're a lovely person, Marinette." "Aw, thanks, Tiki." Mari smiled at her. "You're sweet as well." Tiki smiled back. "Still, though, I'm sorry about Chloe. I can tell it makes you sad that she won't be your friend." "What?" Mari shouted out loud enough that the people around her stopped and looked at her funny. Realizing how she stood out, Mari's face turned red as she gave a big, nervous grin and a small bow before swiftly leaving the area. Once she was in a more secluded spot, Mari opened her purse again and spoke to Tiki. "I absolutely do not want to be Chloe's friend. She's nothing but a self-righteous bully who has nothing better to do than stare at her own reflection and pick on others. She doesn't even find value in people unless they're rich and good-looking.
Honestly, it makes me sick to my stomach that Adrian has to live with her now. Who knows what she's even telling him as we speak? She's probably telling him that I'm some kind of crazy stalker or something, and I can't even be there to defend myself. Marie frantically takes out her phone. I need to text him that everything Chloe says are lies and not to believe her. Marinette, you need to calm down, Tiki told her. Marinette looks away from her phone and over at Tiki. Adrian knows what kind of person you are, so he definitely won't believe what Chloe says. He trusts you, remember? So, trust him as well. Mari stared back at her phone and then took a deep breath in and out. You're right. Sorry about freaking out. My emotions are kind of all over the place right now. I understand, Tiki said. You and Adrian have both been through a lot lately. He's been through much more than I have. I can't even imagine what it's like. Mari looks up and watches some clouds slowly slide across the sky. I really want to help him, Tiki. I know. I do too. But we'll get through this, right? You, me, Adrian, Plag, Master Fu, and what? Tiki suddenly became very quiet. And? Who's the other person? Marinette wondered out loud. Tiki shook her head and smiled at Mari. My apologies for pausing. I just got distracted by something. I didn't mean to say, and I just got excited for our team is all. And she gave a nervous laugh. Mari, however, didn't pick up on the shakiness of Tiki's words and brushed it off. You're right, though, Tiki. We're a team, and we'll work together to make things right. In any case, Adrian's busy with the move right now, so I won't check in on him until tomorrow. As for me, I'm going straight home for a bubble bath and then heading to bed early because I'm exhausted. Can we have some strawberry cake before bed? Tiki asked with hope in her eyes. Marinette giggled. Of course. Saturday and Sunday went by and Adrian continued to need his space. Mari called him a few times, but he said he needed a bit more time to process everything. He said he'd be back to 100% by school on Monday. She understood. Adrian spent most of his time in bed, thinking about everything that happened. In the meantime, he got to talk to Plag a lot more, so he wasn't completely alone. Plag had so much energy and kept asking Adrian different questions about himself that sometimes Adrian was able to stop thinking about the negative stuff. Plag also made some backhanded comments about Chloe and even mocked her, and that made Adrian laugh. He felt bad for laughing, but he laughed anyway. On Sunday night, the night before school, Adrian was preparing his backpack for the upcoming day. Chloe came in with a sing-song voice, hugging Adrian without warning. She asked him if he was feeling better, and he said he was, and thanked her for giving him space. No problem, anything for you, Adrians. She watched him continue to pack with a big grin on her face. After a few moments of silence, Chloe's grin softened and she said, You know, Adrian, you can talk to me about anything, right? He stopped packing and looked at her. She chuckled. We've been friends as long as we can remember, so it's no big deal if we share our hopes, dreams, and problems, right? Yeah, he told her. Chloe's expression fell a bit and she looked away. I know how you feel. My mom got up and left me all those years ago, and she didn't even say goodbye. Without thinking, Adrian said, My dad didn't say goodbye to me either, and my mom... Chloe grabbed Adrian's hands and held them tight. We've got to be there for each other, okay? It's you and me against the world. We'll be fine, right? Adrian looked into her pleading eyes. He could tell she was being genuine. He gave her a reassuring smile. Right. She giggled and let go of his hands. She then put up her pinky. Friends forever? Forever, he said, linking his pinky around hers. And with that, the scene switches to the next day. Chloe and Adrian are riding in her family limousine to school. Adrian sits and watches the scenery go by as Chloe stares at him with a content smile on her face. When the car stops in front of the school, Chloe prepares to say something to Adrian, but in that moment, Adrian sees Marinette with their two childhood friends, Nino and Alia. As soon as he saw her, his eyes lit up and he immediately rushed out the car to go greet her. Chloe was left dumbfounded and speechless as she watched Adrian approach her rival. Good morning, Marinette, Adrian greeted. Oh, good morning, Adrian. You're in such a good mood this morning. I'm glad. He sheepishly scratched behind his head. Well, seeing you brings me a bit of comfort, so of course I'm in a good mood. Mari blushed a bit at that statement and the two smile at each other. Alia and Nino look on at the scene in surprise.
Since when did this happen? Alia said out loud as she gestured to Mari and Adrian. Beats me, Nino said, just as confused. Mari suddenly realized how out of place the two of them looked. It dawned on her that she hadn't told Nino or Alia about the miraculous, the superpowers, Adrian's dad, Master Fu, or any of it. She had been so preoccupied with worrying about Adrian and saving Paris from Hawkmoth that she didn't have time to worry about balancing her civilian life as well. She also suddenly realized how she must have been accidentally brushing off her best friends to attend to her new lifestyle. Oops. How many times did she brush them off? She had no idea. Curse my tunnel vision, Mari thought to herself. How in the world do I explain my friendship with Adrian? At first I hated him, then I had a crush on him, and now he's my superhero partner in such a small amount of time. Oh, I'm really sorry if I just came out of nowhere, Adrian told Alia and Nino. I don't think I've formally introduced myself to you guys, even though a formal introduction might be a bit weird since we are in the same class. Alia shook her head. No, I'm cool with an introduction. And an explanation? She glared over at Mari, who pretended not to notice. I'm Alia. And I'm Nino. What's up? I'm Adrian. It's nice to meet you. He extended his hand and shook theirs one after the other. So, that's the introduction. Now where's the explanation, Miss Dupanchang? Alia demanded. Mari's body went rigid. Well, you see, Adrian came into the bakery one day, yeah. And he came to the bakery while my parents were gone, and I sold him a croissant, and we just started talking. Right, Adrian? She looked at him with a painfully wide grin that seemed to say, play along, please. Right, that's right. It was a very good croissant, he said with a nervous tone. We realized we hit it off quite well, so we exchanged numbers and became friends. Alia and Nino continued to stare at her. Mari sighed. I'm sorry for not saying anything to you guys. I guess it slipped my mind. Slipped your mind? How could that be when you had the biggest crush? Mari jumped in front of Alia to cover her mouth with her hand. She looked back at Adrian, who just looked perplexed. Meanwhile, Chloe looked on at the scene in disgust. What was Adrian doing interacting with those lowlifes? And why did that baker girl make him smile? He hadn't smiled for Chloe like that in a long time. He was finally hers. Chloe finally had him closer than ever, and now he's with her? With them? This must be some kind of mistake. She looked down and clenched her fists. Yeah, it's a mistake. That's all. Shaking away her disdain, Chloe regained her composure, gathered her school bag, and exited the limo. When Adrian heard the limo's door shut, he looked back at Chloe and waved at her. Hey Chloe, over here. Come hang out with us. Chloe scoffed. Hang out? With them? So he's really? Her fist clenched again. She caught Marinette's gaze and the two of them glared at each other in silence. This is still a mistake. Adrikins will realize they're all losers and he'll come back to me. It would be so easy. I could just humiliate Marinette now and then he'll see, but Chloe sees Adrian smile. I'll just let it happen naturally. For now. I won't let anyone take you away. Chloe turned her head and went, Thanks, but no thanks, Adrikins. I have better things to do, but come find me whenever you realize your mistake, okay? Adrian looked confused. Mistake? A group of entitled and posh-looking teens were all awaiting Chloe's arrival. Your queen has arrived, she boisterously announced as she walked past them. The group, with their excitable murmurs, followed her into the school. Alia watched Chloe disappear into the school. Seriously, what's her problem? Who, Chloe? Adrian asked. Yeah, she literally just called us a mistake. Ever since we were kids, whenever Chloe saw us, we've been on her hit list, Nino told Adrian. Adrian looked alarmed. She wants to hit you guys? Alia facepalmed. Not literally. She just doesn't like us. How do you not know that? Aren't you like her best friend? We saw how she paraded you around when you first transferred in. A montage of events play in Adrian's head in which Chloe insulted, well, mostly everyone. He does seem to recall her being particularly nasty towards Mari and her friends. I guess I didn't fully process everything that was happening. I mean, I know she can be a bit spicy sometimes, but she has a good heart. Since freaking when? Alia aggressively asked. Adrian sighed. It's a long story. He knew Chloe had some flaws, but didn't like to point them out. She was his good friend, practically his sister after all. Anyway, don't think I got distracted from our initial conversation. I need more details on you two. Alia gestured to Adrian and Marinette. Are you two dating now? Is that why you've been blowing us off? Mari and Adrian blushed, and Mari frantically said, No, it's not like that at all. I've just been really distracted by this and that and some other things, I guess. Alia sighed. All right, can you boys excuse us? She gently took Marinette off to the side and talked to her alone and out of the boys' hearing range. Do you want to tell me something? Alia asked her. No? I mean, I'm sorry about not mentioning the Adrian thing. Alia sighed again. Look, I know this boy gets into your head and your tunnel vision takes over, so I'm not totally surprised about your reaction, but we've been worried about you lately. Nino and I know something is up and we want to be here for you, but you need to talk to us. Mari considered telling Alia everything. She really wanted to, but so much was at stake. She wanted both of them to know, but now wasn't the right time. I'm fine, Alia. I've just been really tired and maybe a little freaked out about the whole hawk moth thing. It's super scary stuff, like maybe I'd get akumatized because of Adrian drama and stuff. I don't know. Marinette, you're one of the strongest people I know. No way some supervillain will take advantage of you. Plus, Nino and I have got your back. You know that, right? Mari smiled at her. Yeah. So, speaking of Adrian, do you still have a crush on him? Mari thought about it. I'm actually not sure. Meanwhile, Nino and Adrian engage in small talk. What kind of music do you like? Nino asked him. Oh, I like... And Adrian proceeds to list off some classical composers. Sweet! Can't go wrong with the classics, dude, Nino said. But would you mind if I introduce you to some modern beats? I'm sure they'll suit your style. Adrian smiled at him. I'd like that. Thanks, Nino. Not a problem, Nino said as he held up a fist to Adrian. The two fist bumped. Soon after, the girls rejoined them and they all walked into the school together, Alia and Nino getting more acquainted with their new friend. After the first half of the school day had finished, Marinette, Alia, Nino, and Adrian were preparing to go to lunch. Before all the students had exited the room, Adrian caught up to Chloe and put a friendly hand on her shoulder. Hey Chloe, wanna come eat with us? Upon hearing his invitation, Mari and her group of friends all cringed in anticipation. Chloe brushed off his hand and spoke with a slightly embittered tone. Sorry, Adrikins, I have to stay behind for tutoring with Miss Bustier. Tutoring? Oh yes, I'm fabulous in many things, but mathematics is a thorn in my side. I personally think I'm too pretty and rich to deal with it, but alas, Daddy says that won't get me my diploma. I personally think that's utterly ridiculous, but it's fine. Mari and her friends breathe a sigh of relief. Adrian, however, looks disappointed. Aw, that's too bad. You know, I can always give you some tips when we get home. That is, if you need it. Math is actually one of my strongest subjects. Of course it is, Adrikins. You're perfect after all. Chloe couldn't help but give an amused, lopsided smile. A bit embarrassed, Adrian told her, We've been through this, Chloe. I'm not perfect. Which is exactly what a perfect person would say since they're perfectly humble. Adrian sheepishly scratched the back of his head. Anyway, go off and eat with your losers. I'll see you in our next class. She gestured her hand in a shooing motion. Feeling a bit awkward, Adrian frowned and looked off to the side. Hey, Chloe, they aren't losers, they're my friends. Chloe's eyes narrowed as she thought to herself, You just met them, how can they be your friends? And then she said out loud, Whatever, I don't have time for this. She turned towards their teacher and perked up. Miss Bustier, I'm ready for our lesson. She began to walk towards the teacher's desk. And without turning to face him, Chloe told Adrian,
"Please tell my admirers that I won't be able to join them today. They'll have to eat their meals without me in their presence."
Sure, Adrian said. "All right, we're done here and I'm hungry." Alia lightly pushed Adrian out of the room, and for a moment, Adrian gave Chloe a saddened glance before focusing ahead of him. Once in the hallway, Alia gave him a coy look. "You believe us now, right? She literally called us losers to your face." "Yeah, I'll have to talk to her about that," Adrian said. "Good luck with that one, dude," Nino told him. "I tried to make peace with her once, and it did not go well."
"Oh yeah, I remember that," Mari exclaimed. "Didn't you give her a tree branch from a tree in the park when we were in 3rd grade?"
"Of course I did," Nino said with a proud look on his face. "And why do you look so smug about that?" Alia asked. "Because it was a good idea. She just didn't understand how poetic it was." Alia, Mari, and Adrian all looked at him skeptically. "And I'm guessing you guys don't either." "A tree branch, Nino. A tree branch," Alia said. "It was me extending an olive branch, you know, the sign for peace." "There are olive trees around here?" Adrian asked.
"None that I know of," Mari confirmed.
"There could have been back then. It was years ago, so the tree might be gone now." Nino was trying really hard to defend his case. "I'll admit, it was a cute idea, Nino, but if none of us got it, surely Chloe wouldn't have either. Besides, if I remember correctly, that tree branch had a spider on it," Alia told them. "That's part of what made it so cool," Nino exclaimed. "I wanted to show her a cool thing I found." Alia continued. "And then the spider crawled onto her hand and bit her." "It bit her? Did she freak out?" Adrian asked. "Yeah, it was hilarious," Alia snickered. Marinette sighed. "I'm pretty sure that made her hate us even more." Adrian thought to himself, "I don't remember if Chloe told me about this or not. I wouldn't be surprised if she did." Nino tried to defend himself. "Hey, give me a break. I was 8. "Let every nasty thing Chloe does from now on be deemed as Nino's fault," Alia declared. "All in favor say aye."
"Aye,"
Mari happily agreed. "All right, Blondie, what say you?" Alia pointed to Adrian, who was staring off in a different direction, not paying attention to her.
"Adrian, are you okay?"
Mari asked with concern. Following his gaze, Mari noticed Adrian looking at Chloe's groupies, who were all standing and chatting amongst themselves, seemingly waiting for something. "I'll be right back," Adrian told his friends as he walked toward the fashionable group. "Hey guys," Adrian greeted. "Oh, hey Adrian, good to see you. Where's Chloe?" "Yeah, we're starving. She said she'd buy us a big lunch. She also said she bought us tickets to the newest movie premiere, and I was kind of hoping to get that today." "She told you guys that?" Adrian asked. "Well, yeah, why else would we be waiting here? Because Chloe's your friend and you enjoy spending time with her?" They all laughed at that. "Right, of course. We love having her around." This was said with a sarcastic tone. "So, where is she?" "These guys, something's up with them. They're her friends, right? They always look so happy when they're around her," Adrian thought to himself. Chloe said she had to be tutored today, so she won't make it to lunch with you guys." There was an audible groan as the members of the group murmured amongst each other with annoyed tones. "Aw man, and I skipped breakfast and nutrition today. I knew it was too good to last. I can't believe it's happening again." "What's happening again?" Adrian asked. "Before you came along, Chloe would always refuse to eat lunch with us because she was too busy getting tutored. It was getting hard to believe that she was really that bad at school. But then when you transferred in, she was so enthusiastic to eat with everyone, mainly you. I guess she was really excited to show you off." "Seems to me like she finally lost interest in you. That is, if you're the reason why she came with us in the first place. Who knows, maybe she really is that bad at school." One of them snickered. "Maybe if she spent less time on her makeup and more time hitting the books, she wouldn't be so dumb." Without warning, Adrian shoved the person who said that up against the wall and glared at them. Mari, watching from afar, gasped, not knowing what's going on since everything was happening out of earshot. Alia and Nino looked surprised as well, but Mari didn't hesitate to run up to them and investigate.
"What's going on? What happened?" Mari demanded. "Adrian?"
The guy against the wall struggled a bit to break free from Adrian's tight grip. "What the heck is your problem, Agrest?" "Apologize." What? Adrian's voice went cold. I said apologize.
Adrian, what did he do?
He called Chloe dumb. No one talks about my friend like that. She's supposed to be his friend too. She's supposed to be all of their friends. So why aren't any of you guys saying anything about this? He needs to apologize, right?
Adrian.
Mari had never seen Adrian like this before. He was normally so composed and gentle. For something to set him off like this. But why? Chloe had insulted her and her friends in front of Adrian and he barely reacted. But this guy insulted Chloe and he's practically ready to get expelled over her. Does Chloe mean that much to him? Mari gently put her hand on his hand that was clutching the guy's collar. She looked up at him with big, sympathetic eyes. When Adrian finally looked over and saw her expression, he immediately softened up, unclenched his fist, and stepped away from the guy. His eyes grew wide as he stared down at his trembling hands. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I don't know what came over me. I'm so sorry. The group was just looking at him with expressions of fear, concern, and disgust.
He's just tired, Mari exclaimed frantically. Yeah, he's super tired. You can imagine, right? He just started a new school, and then his dad leaves without warning, and then he had to move in with Chloe. That would exhaust anyone, right? After a few moments of silence, and Mari silently praying her quick thinking worked, the group of kids chuckled. Yeah, if I had to move in with Chloe, I'd be pretty hostile too. Honestly, fair enough. Adrian, while still remorseful, unconsciously clenched his fists, which made Marinette nervous. If you guys can't stand Chloe that much, then why do you hang out with her? Alia asked as she and Nino approached the situation. Is it really that hard to guess why? One of the kids asked. Alia sighed. It's because she's rich and happens to be the mayor's daughter, isn't it? I'm not surprised at all, but oddly enough, a bit disappointed. Don't act all high and mighty. Everyone has a price, one of them told her. Maybe, but I have standards, Alia told them. Even Mari spoke up. It's no secret that Chloe isn't exactly my favorite person, but she's still a person who deserves some dignity. If Adrian sees good in her, then I believe it's there as well. Adrian's eyes widened in surprise. Marinette. Alia agreed. Exactly. Chloe might be nasty, but you guys are gross. Some of the members of the group looked guilty while others gave Alia a look of spite. Sure would suck if someone were to tell Chloe that you guys only liked her for her money. I wonder what her dad, the mayor, would do, Nino casually said while looking away from them. You wouldn't dare. She wouldn't believe you guys anyway. Alia smirked. Oh, sure. She might not believe us, but she'll believe him. She gestured to Adrian. Checkmate. That shut them right up. Adrian then stepped up to them. You guys will stay away from Chloe from now on. She doesn't need friends like you. What? You can't just tell us to leave her alone. It's not up to you. Regardless of how you define it, Chloe considers us her friends, so it's her choice. Don't you guys have any empathy at all? How would you feel if your brother or sister, cousin, best friend, or whoever was being treated the way you're treating Chloe? You'd react the exact same way Adrian's reacting, Mari lectured. After a few moments, there was a sigh of defeat. So, what'll Chloe do once we're gone? Who's she gonna hang out with? Alia crossed her arms. Do you guys honestly care, or is that the guilt talking? Whatever. And with that, the group dispersed, leaving Adrian and his friends behind. Once the coast was clear, the group of friends gave a deep exhale of relief, as if they'd been holding their breaths the entire time. You know, Agrest, I'm starting to think you might actually be related to Chloe given the amount of drama you just caused, Alia said. He scratched his cheek as his shoulders fell. Sorry. Are you okay, dude? You don't exactly come off as the type to snap like that, Nino asked. Adrian's face reddened. Yeah, I'm fine. I don't know. He looked away in embarrassment. He seriously had no idea he was capable of any kind of aggression outside of being a superhero. Well, I think it's understandable. Like Marinette said, we all have people we'd be willing to fight for, so I guess, for you, Chloe is one of them. I don't quite get what you see in her, but I understand the feeling. Nino said all of this while giving Alia a knowing look. She acknowledged his look and gave a small, sheepish smile. I think it's sweet, Marinette told her friends. Adrian didn't expect that reaction. I mean, yeah, it was a bit scary to see you like that, Adrian, but I know you did it from a place of love. I think you can only really react that way when you love someone. If anything, it means you're super reliable. You're as loyal as they come, and that's an excellent trait for a superhero. Both Mari and Adrian's eyes opened wide, and their bodies went rigid from her blabbing too much. Is what I'd say if he was a superhero, but he's not, so that sentence didn't make any sense, did it? Mari and Adrian both laughed nervously. Fortunately, neither Alia nor Nino picked up on that super obvious hint. Yeah, he's reliable, but a bit too emotional for a hero, don't you think? Alia added. If he were a hero, a villain could easily take advantage of that, you know? Heroes have to be cool, calm, and collected, like Ladybug and Cat Noir. Haha, yeah, like Ladybug and Cat Noir. Mari and Adrian continued to chuckle uneasily. Are you guys alright? You're looking a bit pale, Nino noticed. You know what? That's the hunger talking. I'm starving. Are you starving, Adrian? Mari said with an obnoxiously loud voice. Adrian matched her tone. Yeah, I am super hungry. Let's go. The two of them briskly walked toward the dining area. A bit confused, Nino and Alia sped up to meet them. So, real talk. What's Chloe gonna do when she finds out about her, what do we call them? Nino asked. Her people? Alia suggested. Yeah, her people. Adrian slowed down. She won't be happy, that's for sure. She'll probably be confused, too. She'll need someone to be there for her. Maybe a new group of friends? He nodded with a big grin at Mari, Nino, and Alia. Marinette blinked. Wait. Alia shook her head vigorously. Nope. Nuh-uh. No way. Nope. Not gonna happen. Denied. I am disinclined to acquiesce to your request. Adrian gave her a confused look. What does that mean? It means no. Oh, come on, Alia. Please. You said she deserves to be shown dignity. Yeah, but that's because I'm a decent person. That doesn't mean I'm ready to make flower crowns and sing Kumbaya with her. If I pretend to be her friend, I won't be any better than those punks we just got through telling off. Then don't be her friend. She can just be my friend who hangs out with me, who hangs out with you. Alia groaned. Adrian. Please, Alia. Marinette, Nino, can you guys back me up here? Nino pondered on it. Gotta say, the thought of hanging out with Chloe isn't exactly what I consider a good time. But I'm willing to give it a go. Adrian smiled at him. Thanks, Nino. I pretty much feel the same way, Mari said. Being a teen and having to deal with everything is hard enough as it is, but if I had to do it without friends, I'd be totally lost. So, though I'm not ready to call her a friend, and I probably won't be for a while, I'm okay with hanging out with her if it's for the greater good. Adrian reached out and held Mari's hand in gratitude. You're so awesome, Marinette, thank you. This made her blush, but she was able to say, no problem. Seriously? I'm outnumbered? Alia pouted and then turned to Nino and Mari. Don't you guys remember what she did to me? I can't just pretend like that didn't happen. We're not asking you to pretend anything. All you have to do is be there, Alia. That's it, Marinette assured her. Alia thought about it. Adrian was concerned. What did Chloe do? I don't want to talk about it right now, Alia quickly responded. She then returned to thinking it over. It's been less than a day. What do you mean? Adrian asked. Alia aggressively pointed at him. You've been in our group for less than a day and you're already asking a lot from us. I respected you for standing up to those gross people, but now you're asking us to take in Barbie-colored Medusa? Please, be nice, Alia, Adrian sternly asked. I'll be nice when she is. Come on, Alia. You know doing the right thing has nothing to do with what someone else does or doesn't do. You do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, not because you expect something from someone. Alia blinked in surprise. Wow, Marinette, that's really poetic and wise. Her expression leveled out. You got that from your daily motivational, didn't you? Mari winked at her and stuck out her tongue playfully. Is it that obvious? Yep. Still a good quote, though. So you agree? After inhaling deeply, Alia gave a loud groan. Fine. We can invite Malibu Medusa to come hang out with us. But if she says no, I'm not insisting.
Deal, her friends said in unison. But, Alia held up her index finger, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it right. Nino, get the branch. My time has arrived, Nino shouted out triumphantly. No branch, guys, no branch, Mari playfully begged. I might be able to find an actual olive tree, Adrian suggested. Oh dude, that would be sweet, Nino replied. No! Mari continued her protest. The group of friends walked off to the cafeteria, continuing to joke with one another, ready to eat and get fueled up for what's to come. Marinette, Adrian, Nino, and Alia all sit down at a table to eat their lunches together. And just as Mari was getting ready to take her first bite, Alia spoke up. So, speaking of Ladybug and Cat Noir, both Adrian and Mari's body became rigid with nervousness. I don't think I've had the chance to totally geek out about them around you yet. Well, around Marinette yet. I wasn't expecting Adrian to be here after all. For some reason, hearing that made Adrian feel a bit sad. Alia could see it on his face and she tried to clean up her statement. Not that I don't want you here, it's cool that you are. Now I can share my findings with the both of you. Findings? What findings? Mari asked. Well, since you and Adrian were off doing who knows what for the past few days, being totally distracted by whatever, I did some research about the superheroes. But Ladybug and Cat Noir are completely new. How can you do research on them? Adrian asked her. They aren't the only superheroes, Agrest, Alia told him. There are heroes all around the world. How do you not know that? Adrian blushed. I've been homeschooled for most of my life, and I didn't get out much. Oh, Alia's voice trailed off. But wait, for you to not know anything about superheroes, you'd have to never have read a comic, watched many cartoons, or spoken to many other people. I've never gotten into comics, wasn't allowed to watch cartoons, and I've mostly only been around adults. They weren't particularly interested in talking about superheroes, Adrian told her. But you know Chloe, Nino asked. Her family is good friends with mine. Business friends, mostly, but Chloe and I grew up together. She was my only friend, really. You know, that explains a lot, actually, Nino said. I guess it does, Alia told him. And I suppose I can't give you too much grief. After all, get this, Europe hasn't had a single superhero for over 300 years. Isn't that crazy? 300 years? It's really been that long? Marinette asked. She remembered what Master Fu said about the European Guardian refusing to hand out any Miraculous due to their overcautiousness, but she had no idea it had been that long. Yeah, with how old the history is, you can only imagine how long it took me to find anything substantial. And even then, I didn't discover that much. But interestingly enough, there hasn't been any supervillains in the past 300 years either, just regular, non-superpowered criminals. Hawkmoth is the first supervillain in a really long time. Alia holds up her phone to Adrian and Mari, showing them old documents from the library that she took pictures of. It's crazy that a supervillain and superhero show up at the same time, huh? What a crazy coincidence, Nino said. Nino, coincidences like this don't just happen. One of those things caused the other to exist. I'm sure of it. Alia thought about it. Maybe it's a balance in the universe sort of thing? Like, if a bad guy shows up, the universe balances it out and makes a good guy show up as well? Or maybe it's the reverse, like the dark and light sides of the Force. What Force? Adrian asked, puzzled. She's talking about Star Wars, Marinette told him, slightly amused. Ah, I've never actually seen it, Adrian told them. Both Alia and Nino slapped the table with their palms and stood up with urgency as they both shouted, "You've never seen Star Wars?" Adrian gulped and considered his answer very carefully. No? Alia scowled. Nino? Nino took out his phone and began typing. Already on it, scheduling a movie night as we speak. Adrian continued to look concerned and nervous as he peered over at Marinette for help. She chuckled uneasily, but gave him a reassuring look. I'm not a huge fan like they are, but it's pretty interesting. It's definitely more fun when you get to watch it with friends. Oh, then count me in. Adrian gave them a thumbs up. Alia gave Adrian a nod of approval. She and Nino then sat back down. Anyway, I got off track. It's totally weird that all of these weird things are suddenly happening.
Why in Paris? Why only in Paris? I haven't heard anything else about heroes in other countries in Europe. Have you, Marinette? Mari shook her head. No, nothing. The fact that there are only heroes and a villain in Paris is evidence of what I said before. One showing up caused the other to show up. But what made whoever show up first to begin with? That's the juicy information I'm missing. And why are all of the superheroes in the world all animal or bug themed? You'd think there'd be more variety. Wow, you really have thought this through, huh, Alia? Marinette asked, completely impressed. Not only that, Alia exclaimed, but check this out. After looking through a good chunk of the heroes in the world, I realized that they all have weapons of some sort. Sometimes it's an item you wouldn't expect, and sometimes it's a legitimate weapon. None of the heroes seem to have just innate powers. Unless they themselves created the weapons? There's so much to find out. Alia seemed to be stuck in her own world now as she speculated out loud. You sure are passionate about superheroes, Adrian said to her. Oh, it's not just heroes, Nino told him. I mean, yeah, Alia loves superheroes, but she's looking to be the next best journalist out there. If anything is mysterious, interesting, or newsworthy, she wants a piece of that action. And recently, all of the superpower stuff has gotten her all spazzing out. Of course I'm spazzing out, Alia confirmed. You guys don't understand the weight of the current situation. Europe has been in the dark regarding superheroes for the past 300 years. There's limited information about them. I could literally be the first person to uncover their secrets. Do you know how big that is? It's monumental. Ladybug and Cat Noir are right under our noses, and I intend to get close and personal to find out everything I need to know. She then wrapped an arm around Nino's shoulders and aggressively pulled him close. With my trustworthy cameraman by my side, nothing will escape our sight. Nino just chuckled nervously. Are you really telling me that this big surge of inspiration only happened within the past few days? Marinette asked. You've missed a lot, Nino told her bluntly. Alia brought her arm back to herself and took a sip of her drink. Go on, Nino. Show her some of the photos you took. Upon her command, Nino unlocked his phone and went into his gallery. He held up the screen for Adrian and Mari to see. As he scrolled, they saw pictures of some of the Akumatai citizens along with unclear, unfocused, distant, and low-quality pictures of Ladybug and Cat Noir. Wait, you took these pictures? Mari asked, concerned. Yeah, I know. The quality isn't the best, Nino told her, exasperated. But give me a break. These guys are always jumping around and fighting. Not to mention we have to dodge attacks and avoid being seen. That's exactly what I'm getting at, Mari said sternly. Those battles are dangerous. You shouldn't have even been that close to take those pictures. Nino was taken aback by her insistence. Well, yeah. It's a necessary risk, Marinette, Alia said. The best journalists get close to the action to get the best shots and to see the action as it unfolds. Without being there, you don't have the right information to report. I get that, but you're just a teenager. No one is expecting you to risk your lives for this. Mari couldn't help but think of all the close calls she had recently with Hawkmoth's attacks. She and Adrian can handle what he threw at them for the most part, given that their miraculous enhances their human abilities and endurance, but the idea of her non-superpowered friends being in the mix horrified her. Even worse, she never even noticed that they were even there. How many other civilians were in danger when they were fighting? Mari, I appreciate you being the mom of the group, but we'll be fine. I'm always fine, right? Alia gave her a reassuring smile. I'd like to think we're too smart to get involved in anything too bad. Right, Nino? Nino was hesitant as he thought about some stuff. He then simply said, yeah, right. Being completely oblivious to Nino's reservation, Alia continued to smile confidently towards Marinette. You see? Adrian simply sat awkwardly quiet throughout all of this. He knew he had already asked too much of Alia, even though he only just met her. Of course he agreed with Marinette, but he felt like it wasn't his place to speak up one way or another. I mean, it's great to hear that you're being careful, but I still don't want you to do it. Mari looked down as her voice became more timid. Hearing her tone, Alia calmed down a bit and became more serious. Come on, Marinette. This is my dream, my future we're talking about. This is really important to me. Having your support in this would mean the world. What do you say? She gave her friend a small, pleading grin. What do I say? What can I say? Mari thought to herself. I want you to be safe, but I don't want to discourage you from your dream. But I want you to be safe. Hawkmoth isn't playing games. He will kill people to get our Miraculous. Adrian is already always in danger along with me, but I can't risk Ollie and Nino as well. Their lives could be lost, or I could lose them as friends. I know which option is better, but I just... Mari abruptly stood up from her spot and sternly told her friends, I'm sorry, I need to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. She then turned and walked away with an air of dread surrounding her. Alia blinked in concern. Marinette? Only a few seconds later, Adrian stood up too. You know what? I gotta use the bathroom as well. Be back in a few minutes. He then briskly trailed after Marinette. A few awkwardly silent moments after watching him leave, Alia faced their empty spots in front of her. I'm convinced. There's definitely something going on between them. I'll probe Marinette about that later. Now then, Alia turned to Nino. Is there something you want to tell me? What? What do you mean? Don't think I didn't notice how shaky your voice sounded back there. I noticed almost everything about you, so there's no hiding it. She stared at him. Nino leaned back, feeling a bit pressured as he avoided her gaze. It's just... it's totally cool that you want to be a journalist. Heck, I already think you're better than anyone at it. No one supports your dream more than I do. Seriously, everyone will know your skills one day. Alia blushed a bit, but tried to stay serious. Uh-huh. And, well, the thing is... And right at that moment, there was the sound of a huge crash coming from outside the school. Nino, Alia, and all the other students immediately ceased what they were doing and attended to the source of the sound. The windows in the cafeteria were too high up for them to see exactly what was happening, but a large pillar of smoke could be seen rising up into the sky. It was super close. For the next few seconds, there was nothing. But then suddenly, the room they were in spontaneously shook as an unknown object struck the school's walls from the outside. It was no longer silent as a commotion could be heard from the outside, and even beyond that, the confused students in the cafeteria were starting to panic. Just then, a teacher arrived and alerted the students that there was an Akuma attack happening just outside the school and that the students had to find shelter. While some of the students decided to follow the teachers, some others were having panic attacks, while some others were frozen like deer in headlights. These cases needed special attention from the teachers and adults, while the other students retreated from the cafeteria in a half-orderly, half-chaotic fashion. Meanwhile, Nino and Alia worried about Adrian and Mari. Alia frantically tried to call Marinette on her phone, but there was an immediate busy signal. Busy? Who could be calling? Alia turned around to find that Nino was on his phone as well. Are you trying to call Marinette? Yeah. He then noticed the phone up to her ear. Wait a minute. We can't both try to call her, Nino. It won't work. Try calling Adrian. I didn't get his number yet, did you? Alia shook her head worryingly. No. As they conversed, Alia's notification tone chimed. It was a message from Marinette. It read, Are you guys alright? Adrian and I are both fine. We're hiding in a safe spot. Alia texted back, We're fine. Stay put. She then gave a sigh of relief as she and Nino joined their peers. Alia then suddenly went quiet as the gears in her head started to turn. The sounds of bangs and crashes continued to be heard, all sounding just as alarming as the first. It was like they were located in the middle of a construction site where the only tools used were wrecking balls. Some glass shattered above and some of the students ducked their heads and shrieked. What a cruddy time to get separated, huh? Nino said. This is actually really scary. Yeah. Alia's voice trailed off as she continued to think. Hawkmoth is a pretty cool dude. I didn't think he'd actually send someone off to attack buildings next to a school. The Akuma is really close to us, Alia said as she stopped walking. The other students continued to walk past her. Yeah, that's why Nino stopped short once he realized that Alia was no longer walking with him. He turned around to see what she was doing. Alia? With all of these students, it would be really easy to accidentally lose sight of a couple of kids. Holding her phone in her hand, she turned the screen on and stared at it. Nino only saw her lips move, but with all the commotion and with her being a few steps behind, he couldn't hear her all the way. But then again, he didn't need to. He saw the look in her eye. It was a very familiar look. A mischievous, slightly scared yet confident look. Nino immediately became concerned because he knew exactly what was about to happen and how he had virtually little power to stop it. Like a force of nature, Alia immediately ran past Nino, grabbing his hand in the process as she sneakily maneuvered her way through the crowd and out of one of the school's unguarded exits. "This is a bad idea, Alia," Nino loudly warned her as she continued to pull him along. "Yeah, we might get in trouble, but who cares if we make history?" Alia told him with a smile on her face. "That's not the kind of trouble I'm talking about." Alia had pulled him all the way to the front lines. All along the ground was rubble, as the upper part of the closest buildings to the school had been shattered by something. Large, heavy debris covered the street. It really looked like a battlefield. It was then that Alia and Nino caught sight of the akumatized victim. They were using a red giant metal beam to smash the tops of the buildings. Upon seeing him, Alia and Nino tucked away behind an outer wall. Alia's eyes lit up. "Turn on your camera, Nino. We've got to get a shot of this." She took out a wireless microphone from her backpack. Nino frowned. "But we can't." "Sure we can. We're already here, so might as well go through with it, you know? Ladybug and Cat Noir are probably already on their way, so we've got to make sure that we're ready to document everything." Nino's tone became more serious. "Alia, that's not." Another building top was crushed and fell towards the earth with a thud, rumbling the ground beneath their feet. Alia seemed to ignore this. "This has to be a sign. For an Akuma attack to happen right next to our school, the universe must want us to cover this story." "Alia, we're going back to the school right now," Nino told her in his strictest tone. Taken aback by the change in his usual blasé attitude, Alia blinked at him in surprise. "What?" Finally having her attention, Nino took a deep breath as he grabbed Alia's wrist. "Marinette was right. We shouldn't do things that'll put our lives in danger. Do you see these buildings? Any one of those bits falling on our heads and we're finished. It's not worth it." "But..." Alia's face fell with disappointment. "This is my big break. I can't ignore it." "You'll get another big break, or heck, even a safer Akuma fight. But this one isn't it. Come on." He tugged at her arm, but Alia aggressively took her arm away from him. "This could be my only chance. The universe gave it to me." Nino gritted his teeth. Another loud crash. Something then caught his eye. He glanced up, gasped, and immediately reacted by tackling Alia to the ground. And then, a sound that could only be described as being in the heart of thunder itself as the world suddenly went dark. Alia felt the hardness of the ground against her back. Her eyes fluttered open after what felt like forever. It was mostly dark, with only small beams of light peeking through. What happened? It took her a few moments to realize that Nino was right above her, on his hands and knees, his body struggling and shaking. "Nino?" The reality of the situation finally sank in. They were in a pile of rubble that fell from a building. Thanks to some fortunate circumstances, the two of them were already surrounded by a sizable amount of debris when they arrived at the scene, so by the time the new debris fell, most of its fall was broken. However, some of the pieces fell through the cracks and were playing a very dangerous balancing game just above Nino's back. The only thing preventing it from falling and caving in on them, and killing them, was Nino's very specific position. The weight was heavy on the poor boy, but once again, some of it was being supported by the other debris. Nevertheless, he was still having trouble keeping his strength. "Nino, are you okay?" "I've had better days," the boy struggled to say. Can you move at all?" Alia asked. "I'm pretty sure if I move, this whole thing is coming down. I feel something loose behind me. I don't trust it." Alia carefully moved her arms from beside her and felt around the enclosure. After trying to apply a bit of pressure to some debris that was adjacent to a beam of sunlight, all of the other pieces shook, ready to fall in. She immediately stopped what she was doing. Alia gasped. "My cell phone! If I could just get it, I could call for..." It was then that she realized that her phone was nowhere to be found. At least, it wasn't anywhere she could easily reach. "Nino, do you..." "I have no idea where my phone is," he told her. "If I had to guess, it's probably crushed." "So, what? Do we give up?" Alia asked. She tried to think of a solution, but her mind was getting foggier by the second. "We can't just..." And just like that, Alia began to cry once she was able to process the scope of her dreadful situation. "I'm so sorry. This was all my fault." "Don't worry about it. I've got this." Nino continued to put his all into holding up the weight. I'm so sorry. Alia took a deep breath and then shouted at the top of her lungs, "Help! Somebody help us! Please, help!" The tears ran down the sides of her face and onto the ground. "Or just save Nino. Please save him." What? Why just me?" Nino asked. "You're in this mess because of me. I had to be so stupid and stubborn. Marinette warned me, and you tried to tell me, but I didn't listen. If you didn't step in to protect me, I'd be dead. Why would you even risk your life for me like that?" "I'm pretty sure you know why," Nino said bluntly. Alia pondered on that as a swirl of emotions overcame her. Surprisingly, she began to chuckle bitterly. It's not fair. Of course, this was how we confessed to each other." Nino matched her hopeless laugh. Hey, at least we'll always remember it." Alia covered her eyes with the back of her arm, attempting to shield her tears as she continued to force a smile. What a rotten time to tell an unfunny joke. As expected, the weight was overwhelming Nino and he was giving in. His adrenaline could only take him so far, and now it was depleting. The moment his limbs and back gave out, it was all over, and they both knew it, so they closed their eyes and accepted their fate. Just then, Nino noticed that the load was getting lighter. As that was happening, more and more sunlight shined through the cracks. The swift moments went by, and the layers of debris turned a deep black before crumbling away into small particles. And eventually, they were free. "Wait, it's you guys?" said a voice. Nino and Alia shakily sat up and found themselves face to face with Cat Noir, who had a blackish energy covering his hand, and Ladybug, who was right behind him. Alia was elated. "Ladybug! Cat Noir! You saved us!" "Seriously, thanks guys, but how did you get to us so quickly?" Nino asked. "It was easy. We were just right next door." Ladybug semi-forcefully elbowed Cat Noir's arm before he said too much. "It doesn't matter how we got here," Ladybug told them. "What were you two doing here in the first place? Shouldn't you be at school? You're just teenagers, right?" She was frowning and had her arms crossed. At that moment, she gave off angry mom energy. Alia, feeling guilty, avoided her gaze. "It's my fault, Ladybug. I dragged my friend here because... Wait, what happened to the Akama?" "We dealt with that already," Cat proudly said. "Right now we're just cleaning up the mess. Cataclysm is super useful for clearing away debris, and Lucky Charm can help rebuild things. It's gonna take forever to put everything back together, though." "Don't change the topic," Ladybug scolded. "What were you trying to do? There was no good reason for you to be in a dangerous place like this." Alia sighed and looked at the ground. "I know. You could have actually died." "I know. I was really, really stupid." "Not only that, but being a superhero is super stressful. Having civilians around only makes our lives harder because we have to focus on protecting you and dealing with the villain. It's just..." Ladybug sighed. "It's a whole big mess, is what it is." She then looked down at the remorseful girl and felt sympathy, as well as relief that her friend was all right. What she wanted to do was hug them, but couldn't risk revealing her identity. She had to stay firm. Cat Noir placed a gentle, supportive hand on Ladybug's shoulder. "I think she's learned her lesson." "Yeah, I've learned that I'm a rotten journalist and that I never should have had this silly dream," Alia said in a defeatist tone. Ladybug was then struck with guilt. "Wait, that's not true at all," Nino interjected. "Yeah, you messed up today, and a few other days, but you're super smart and super determined. You're hungry for knowledge and the truth. Plus, you're super charismatic and you never let anyone tell you what to do. You're a force to be reckoned with, and I want to see what kinds of things you'll do in the future." Alia's face was completely red by this point as her stomach did flips. She smiled to herself. "You really mean that, don't you, Nino?" "Of course!" Even Nino's face was a bit red by this point. "Since we're being completely honest now, I've felt that way for a while. You're great at what you do, Alia. You just need to be a bit smarter about how you use your great qualities. It's like a use your powers for good kind of thing. You feel me?" Alia, still feeling a bit foolish, chuckled lightly. "Always the supportive cameraman, even after being near the brink of death. You're something else, Nino." "Thank you." Ladybug and Cat Noir smiled as they watched the scene. "He's right, you know," Ladybug told her. "If I knew who you were, and I don't, I'd say you're a nice, talented girl. Probably. So please don't give up on your dream. It would make a lot of people sad, including you.
So, what's your name anyway? Cat Noir asked.
Me? I'm Alia Cesare.
And what about your cameraman? Cat gestured to Nino.
I think you mean,
Alia held Nino's hand,
my boyfriend.
and cameraman. She and Nino looked at each other with deep affection. Wait, what? Ladybug exclaimed. Cat's eyes lit up. Really? That's awesome! Congratulations! Then, what's your boyfriend's name? Nino Lahif, Mr. Cat Noir, sir. Mr. Cat Noir, huh? Cat rubbed his chin. I can get used to that. He leaned over to nudge Ladybug's shoulder. She shook her head playfully. Not a chance, kitty. Worth a shot. Anyway, I look forward to seeing the names Alia and Nino in the famous people's magazines.
That I can agree with, Ladybug smiled at them. As long as they make good decisions, that is.
We will, Alia exclaimed. Promise. And can I just say, it's awesome meeting you guys. The heroes of Paris, I have so much I want to ask you. Ladybug held up her hand. Sorry, we don't really have time for an interview right now. There's a lot of damage to fix still. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Alia remembered that she doesn't want to inconvenience them. She then patted herself down, and when she couldn't find what she was looking for, she looked down at the spot where she and Nino were buried. Miraculously, she found what she was looking for. Her phone was somehow still in one piece. It had a crack in it, but it was functional. How about a quick photo with you guys? It'll only take a second. I'm fine with it. What do you think, milady? Cat Noir asked. Ladybug thought about it. I'm gonna have to decline. Alia frowned in disappointment as Cat Noir asked, How come? Because it would be irresponsible to reward her reckless behavior. She turned to Alia. I'm not trying to be mean. No, I get it. That's fair. But next time? Alia asked hopefully. Ladybug smirked. Depends on how next time goes. For now, you two should head back to school before you get in trouble. I'm pretty sure that ship has already sailed, Nino said. Regardless, everyone will worry about you, so head on back. Alia and Nino nodded. Thanks again, you two. Keep being awesome, Alia shouted as she and Nino ran back to the school hand in hand. Ladybug and Cat Noir watched as they left. Once they were out of earshot, Ladybug let out a huge exhale, as if she'd been holding her breath this whole time. I could tell you were struggling through that, Cat Noir told her with a smirk. You have no idea. I can't believe Alia did that. I could have lost both of my best friends today. But hey, at least she learned her lesson, Cat added. I'd rather she learn it from a lecture than a life or death situation, Ladybug said, feeling completely drained. But yes, at least she learned it. Ladybug looked up towards the sky. Alia has always been like that, headstrong and a bit reckless. But she's a great friend and is always there for you. Nino too. He's always got your back no matter what. I'm glad you got to meet them and have them as your friends too. Cat grinned. Speaking of Nino, did you see what he looked like after I got that rubble off of him? No. Why? He was hunched over Alia, protecting her. If he weren't there holding all that stuff up, they'd both be goners. Or, at the very least, Alia would be a goner. Really? Nino did that? Ladybug looked toward the school in amazement. I guess he was a superhero today as well, huh? He's Alia's hero, that's for sure. And her boyfriend as well, Cat added. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that at all. I mean, I knew they had a thing for each other. They both individually swore me to secrecy, from each other anyway. But I didn't think it would happen so soon. I mean, good for them, but wow. It'll be fun hearing from them how that happened, Cat chuckled. Yep, sure will be. Anyway, let's get back to our job before we get in trouble as well. Just as Ladybug was about to go off and resume her work, Cat Noir reached out and held her wrist. What's wrong? She asked him. He spoke bluntly. Nothing. It's just, I'm still in love with you. It took a few seconds for Ladybug's mind to process what he said. She then made a little squeak with her voice as her face went completely red. What? Cat continued. I figured it was a good time, considering what happened with our friends. Anyway, I fell in love with Ladybug almost instantly, and then I got to know you as both a hero and as Marinette, and it only confirmed my feelings. I never stopped loving you. I only grew to love you more. Ladybug's mouth was agape. She had no idea how to even respond to this, or if she should even respond.
All she knew was her heart pounding and her face getting hotter and hotter. Kat noticed her discomfort and hesitation. "You don't have to give me an answer. I wasn't really expecting you to. I just wanted to express how I felt is all. I'll still be your friend and trusty partner regardless." He then let go of her wrist and turned around. "Well, time to destroy some more rubble." He then ran off. What? Ladybug found it hard to find the right words. Then, through her fluster, she shouted out, "You can't just say that and run away." She ran after him. "Get back here, Cat Noir, and let me bop you on the head. Or I'll make a squirt bottle and spray you in the face like a real cat. Come back here." The next day, Alia and Nino sat down and explained to Adrien and Mari what happened the day before and how their relationship started. Once their story was done, they both expected Marinette to blow up and lecture them, so they braced themselves for it. But instead, Marinette leapt towards them and hugged them both tight. "I'm so happy for you guys, and I'm glad you're safe. I don't know what I'd do without you," she said with teary eyes. The couple blinked in surprise, but they happily hugged her back. "Aw, Marinette," Alia started to say. Marinette then cut her off. "But if you ever pull something like that again, you'll wish you were back under the rubble." For a split second, Alia and Nino looked incredibly concerned before laughing it off joyfully. "Yes, Mom," Alia laughed. "Whatever you say," Nino added. Adrien looked on at them with happiness. Like Marinette said the day before, he's lucky to have such a kind and fun group of friends. He hoped that one day he'd officially be one of them instead of just the new guy. He wanted to have inside jokes with them, make memories with them, and be able to talk to them about anything. And so far, things are looking pretty good. During the attack that occurred near the school in the last episode, the students were taken to classrooms furthest away from the chaos to take shelter. Chloe had been with Miss Bustier when the attack started. The whole building seemed to shake as the sounds of chaos could be heard outside. "What's going on?" Miss Bustier asked, concerned, right as the sound of a loud crash echoed throughout the classroom. Chloe looked outside the classroom and noticed a bunch of her peers panically scrambling as some teachers tried to calm them down. "Hey, you!" The girl tried to get someone's attention, but they were too preoccupied to notice her. She scowled. "Hey, I'm talking here. I'm trying to ask—"
"Attention students and faculty.
A loud voice spoke into the speakers that were placed throughout the school.
An Akuma attack is currently taking place next to our facility. Students, calmly find a teacher and follow their guidance and instructions. The akumatized victim does not seem to be aiming towards our school, but we should still remain cautious. Once again, all students report to a nearby teacher. Further instructions will come soon."
"Oh my," Miss Bustier gasped. "An Akuma?" Chloe shrunk into herself a bit defensively as she looked massively concerned. "What the heck is it doing near our school?" Without giving it an extra thought, Miss Bustier grabbed Chloe's wrist and pulled her towards the door. "You need to get somewhere safe, Chloe. If we're able to hear the commotion from outside this well, we're probably too close to it. Let's go." Still worried, Chloe nodded, okay. But in the immediate next moment, Chloe gasped. "Adrian's! Where's Adrien? We have to find him." "I'm sure he's safe, Chloe. It's our job as teachers to protect you children. You heard the announcement. Any teacher that finds him will keep him safe, I promise." "But what if a teacher can't find him?" There was another loud crash that made Chloe flinch. Miss Bustier bent down to Chloe's height and put her hands on her shoulders. "I understand your concern, Chloe, but you need to have faith in us and faith in your friend as well. Trust he'll make good decisions to keep himself out of trouble." Even with those words, Miss Bustier felt Chloe's shoulders trembling. She looked outside of her classroom door and noted all of the panicking students. This was a scary situation for everyone, and surely, not all kids handle these kind of things as well as others. So, just to be safe... "Chloe, listen to me. I need you to go join your peers, and I'll search around for Adrien, alright?" Chloe sniffed. Really? You'd do that for me?" Miss Bustier smiled reassuringly and patted her head. "Of course, but not just for you. Adrien is my student as well, and so are the others. I'm gonna make sure everyone is okay." "Miss Bustier." In that moment, Chloe forgot her worries and felt a rush of hope fill her being. She confidently nodded to her teacher and then exited the classroom. Miss Bustier then got to work.
As the emergency continued, Bustier took the time to text and call as much of the faculty as she could to locate each of her students while she herself was searching the campus for them. All the while, she kept her eyes on the smoke and ruckus coming from the source of the conflict. This whole Akuma thing was still so new to her and everyone. They didn't know what to expect, nor did they know to what lengths this villain Hawkmoth was willing to go to get what he wanted. But to be so careless as to cause a scene next to an establishment filled with children? The audacity! Bustier wanted to give Hawkmoth a piece of her mind, but, in the moment, had to focus on staying alert so that she could stay safe enough to find her missing kids. In time, she was able to learn the locations of everyone except for 4. Nino, Alia, Adrian, and Marinette. None of the staff had seen them since lunchtime. None of the staff? How could that be possible? How has no one seen them? Bustier asked herself. Don't panic, Kayleen. They're probably all scared and hiding somewhere. They probably aren't the only ones. I just need to keep looking. And just as suspected, she managed to find some students from other classes tucked away in some crevices around the school. Fulfilling her duties, she helped guide the kids to other teachers who could keep an eye on them. However, even with those discoveries, she was unable to find those 4. Eventually, things became quiet. Well, aside from the copious police and fire truck sirens, but other than that, the crashing stopped. The overall atmosphere of danger had been lifted. Was everything safe? Still worried sick, Bustier found herself at the front of the school, hoping to find a trace of something substantial. Just then, she noticed Nino and Alia running up to the school, both covered in dust and dirt and displaying a few scrapes on their skin. It was apparent that they didn't expect to see their teacher given the surprise and nervous looks on their faces. Nino! Alia! Without giving a second thought, Miss Bustier ran up to them and hugged them both, squeezing them affectionately tight. I'm so glad I found you. Alia struggled to speak through the embrace. Nice to see you too, Miss Bustier. Why are you out here? Nino asked. Isn't it a bit unsafe? Miss Bustier released her hug and looked down at the two in concern. I could ask you both the same thing. Where exactly were you two coming from? The two teens exchanged uneasy glances before looking back at the disapproving expression on their teacher's face. Well, the thing is, Nino tried to explain, but Alia then cut in. It was my fault, Miss Bustier. I saw a small child about to get crushed by some debris, and since no one was around to save them, I figured I'd leap into action. Nino just came to make sure that we were all right. She chuckled nervously. Nino grimaced, and Miss Bustier was unfazed. Oh, I mean, did I say that I was trying to save a small child? What I meant to say was that I felt like a small child and got so super scared that I completely freaked out and ran straight into the danger. You know, because maybe the bad guy wouldn't suspect that I run straight into danger. Alia's voice began to trail off as her story broke apart. Nino patted her shoulder sympathetically. It was a valiant effort. Alia sighed. Yeah, not my best work. She looked up at her teacher. You didn't buy any of it, did you? Not even a little bit, Miss Bustier said flatly. Both Alia and Nino hung their heads in shame. In all seriousness, though, it was my fault. I was so super stupid. Leaving the school was my idea, so please don't punish Nino. Nino quickly spoke up. It's not like that, ma'am. She didn't force me to leave, and I definitely could have done something to stop her from going, so it's my fault too. We probably worried you a lot, Alia added. We're sorry, they both said in tandem. Miss Bustier took note of their current state. Their apology seemed sincere, and given the scrapes and dust all about them, along with the general direction they came from, they clearly got involved in whatever was happening with that Akuma. It seems like they went through quite a lot. Whatever they did, they knew it was wrong, so there was no real reason to interrogate nor lecture them any more about it. She softened her expression. I won't suspend you two, but I'm sorry, but I will have to inform your parents. And I'll have to give you both detention. Do our parents really have to get involved? Alia asked. Yes,
They'll want to know why you two look like you've been in a brawl, and it's my responsibility to tell them. Can you at least tell them the story of me saving the small child? Alia pleaded. Make that double for my order as well, Nino half-joked. Miss Bustier shook her head while Alia and Nino groaned. They were then surprised to find their teacher hugging them again. Honestly, I'm just glad you're all right. After a few more hugging moments, Bustier released them. She then asked, Now, have you two seen Adrien and Marinette? Alia's eyes widened. Adrien and Mari? They aren't with the rest of the class? Bustier shook her head again. That's weird, Nino told her. But I guess things got a bit crazy. The last time we saw them was at lunch before the attack. They both said they needed to use the bathroom, so maybe they're just hiding out in there? Well, I mean, he thought about it for a bit. Hopefully in different bathrooms, but I guess in an emergency it wouldn't matter. I need you to focus, Nino. Which bathrooms did they go to? Because I feel like I checked them all, their teacher said. Well, we don't know which ones exactly, but we can take you in the general direction they went, Alia suggested. Yeah, let's do that, Bustier agreed. And so the trio went off in search for the final two kids. Fortunately, as they made their way to the cafeteria area to retrace their steps, Marinette and Adrien came running up to them, both of them out of breath. You guys are okay, Marinette exclaimed happily as she opened her arms wide to hug her friends. But before she could reach them, Bustier got to her first and hugged her out of relief. Miss Bustier? Are you okay? Mari asked her. Oh yes, I'm a million times better now, her teacher said in elated exasperation. She then looked over at Adrien. Are you all right, Adrien? The boy blinked at her. Me? I'm perfectly fine. Miss Bustier tugged on his wrist and brought him into the embrace with Marinette as she hugged them tighter. Mari looked over at Nino and Alia, inspecting them. The couple gave her smug looks. Just let it happen, Alia told her. What happened to you guys? Mari asked them. Before they could answer, Miss Bustier released them from the hug. Before they answer that, where have you two been? Adrien and Mari's bodies both went rigid as they frantically went through an explanation. I was in the bathroom, Mari excitedly said. I was so scared that I couldn't leave the stall. I went after Marinette before the attack happened, but I ended up hiding in the closest classroom I can find, inside the teacher's podium, Adrien added. Is that true? Miss Bustier asked skeptically. I checked every classroom and bathroom. I mean, her words became less confident as she thought about it. I probably checked each one. Well, you definitely didn't check the one I was in because I didn't hear you at all, Marinette told her. Or maybe it's because I was hiding in different bathrooms. Different bathrooms? Yeah, Marinette stuttered. I was so freaked out that I tried to find a bathroom that I felt safe in. I don't know, I do weird things when I'm scared. She started to flail her arms around nonsensically. Alia snickered. Yeah, that sounds about right. Miss Bustier sighed. I understand, but next time, please find an adult who can keep you safe. I was really worried about you. And you too, Adrien. Although, I must give you points for such a unique hiding spot. I can't say it was very safe. Such a compact area is not ideal in such an emergency. You're right. I'm sorry, Adrien said, trying to search for the right thing to say. I, don't do that well in stressful situations either, and the podium seemed cozy. Before Miss Bustier could analyze their words anymore, a voice echoed throughout the campus via the speakers.
Attention students and staff, it appears that the threat has been dealt with. Ladybug and Cat Noir have saved the day!
Cheers could be heard from the side of the school furthest from the previous conflict.
Parents and guardians have begun arriving near the front of the school. Teachers, please escort the students under your care to the front of the school and stand by to make sure each of them gets picked up by their respective caretaker. Just to be clear, the rest of classes have been canceled for today. That is all.
Even more cheers could be heard after that. Miss Bustier allowed no time for the group of friends to catch up and compare notes on the event. She did as directed and led them to the front of the school where, as warned, a bunch of parents and guardians were trying to get through the front doors.
Likewise, many of the students were starting to gather and, to avoid injury, the teachers had to organize them and create order from the chaos. In the end, Mari, Nino, Ollie, and Adrian didn't get a chance to talk to one another for the rest of the day about the events that transpired. Mari's parents were among the first to arrive to take her home, followed by Alia's parents and then Nino's. Miss Bustier had resolved to call their parents later to tell them about Alia and Nino's escapades, since things were too hectic at the moment. Finally, Adrian was left by himself, but not for too long. He could hear a faint voice becoming louder and louder. Adrikins! Adrikins! Where are you? Hey, out of my way! Ah! Adrikins! Chloe maneuvered her way through the crowd. When she finally saw Adrian, she leapt over to him and tightly embraced him. I'm so glad you're all right! Blinking in surprise for a few moments, Adrian softened and smiled as he hugged Chloe back. Same here. But I knew you to be okay. You're pretty resilient after all. Is that why you didn't come looking for me? Chloe asked in a cool voice. Huh? Chloe broke the hug and looked down and away, a bitter frown on her face. I was super worried about you. It's because of me that Miss Bustier even went looking for you. Really? Adrian tried to speak up, but Chloe cut him off. Of course! I don't expect for you to know that. You weren't there. And of course, Miss Bustier is that amazing that she probably would have done that anyway. But still... She balled up her fist and clenched her teeth. But still... You were with... Losernet and her stupid friends. Hey, they aren't stupid, Adrian shot back, and her name is Marinette. What's your problem with them anyway, Chloe? They're really nice and you're being mean to them for no reason. No reason? No reason? You can be so dense, Adrian. My problem is that I care about you more than any of them ever will, and you looked for them first. Adrian was taken aback by her passionate outburst. Well, why do you even think I went to them first? I saw you. Once things calmed down, I left the spot we were hiding at and I went looking for you. And that's when I saw you with Miss Bustier and those people. You were chatting it up without a care in the world, not worrying the least bit whether or not I was all right. The very memory of it made Chloe come close to tears, but she kept them in. You didn't even notice I was there. Seeing her distress, Adrian guiltily massaged the back of his neck as he looked away and sighed. You're taking things too personally, Chloe. I just had faith that you were all right, is all. He grinned uneasily at her. After all, Cat Noir and Ladybug were around to save the day. I'm pretty sure none of the other students got hurt, so... So you just assumed. Is that all I'm worth to you? An assumption? Chloe glared at him. You're ridiculous, Adrian aggressed. Utterly ridiculous. She then turned around and stomped off in a huff. Wait, Chloe, where are you going? The limo will be here soon to pick us up. I'll walk home. I don't want to be in the same space as you right now. In case it isn't incredibly obvious, I'm mad at you. So you tell the driver I'll be on my way in my own time. She continued to put distance between her and Adrian. Chloe. He looked on at her with sadness and regret. Her perceptions of his friends were wrong, and he wouldn't apologize in defending them, but he couldn't help but feel bad for leaving things like that with his childhood friend. Before the girl was successfully able to leave the premises, one of the policemen facilitating the student's pickup blocked her. I'm sorry, miss, but you need to wait for your guardian to... She then shouted at him. Excuse me? Who the heck do you think I am? I'm Chloe Bourgeois. My daddy is your boss, and if you even think about getting in my way, I'll make sure you're fired before I get the next chance to blink. Is that clear? Leaving the cop totally dumbfounded, Chloe managed to stomp away on her own. After a few blocks of huffing and puffing, Chloe's pace slowed down until she finally stopped in her tracks. She was still quite angry, but more than anything, she felt pain. She gave a small growl. Stupid, Adrian. Stupid, stupid, stupid! Without much thought, she took off the sunglasses sitting on top of her head and spiked them towards the ground, part of the lenses shattered. Breathing heavily, she looked over and saw her reflection in one of the shop's windows. The image of her mother flashed in her mind. Her mother, who wore fashionable dark sunglasses, looked down at her before turning and walking away. Coming back to her senses, Chloe immediately turned back to her own sunglasses, noticing the shards of lens scattered on the ground. Everything seemed to be falling apart before her eyes. She dropped down and hugged the broken glasses close and whispered, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry." "Hey, are you all right?" said an unfamiliar voice. Chloe looked up and saw a handsome, tall, slender boy who looked around her age. He had kind cyan eyes and medium-length black hair with cyan tips. Looking down at her, he extended his hand to support her. Chloe couldn't help but stare with her mouth agape, her cheeks turning red. Miss? Huh? Oh. Chloe placed her hand in his and he helped her stand up. "You aren't hurt, are you?" the boy asked. "It seemed like something was bothering you, so I wasn't sure." "You're cute," Chloe happily squealed, taking the boy aback. "Like, super, super cute." She leaned closer to him. "I've never seen any boy match Adrian's attractiveness, but I think you've completely surpassed him. You're a model, right? You're totally a model. I know one when I see it." Her eyes completely lit up as she continued to stare at him. Well, no, I'm not a model. Thank you for the compliment, though." "You're not? Well, that's just ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. I need to hire you an agent right away. Or, better yet, I'll introduce you to my mother. She's the director of a fashion magazine, you know. She has the connections to help you fulfill your destiny. But then again, if you become famous, how will I be able to keep you to myself?" Chloe held her cheeks as she fantasized. "Oh well, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there," she squealed again. The boy could only look at her in confused awe. This girl was a unique spectacle. An odd one, but unique. He was a bit uncomfortable, but also a bit intrigued. "You're like a bright yellow hurricane, you know that?" "I shall take that as a compliment." She smiled brightly at him. "You must be a gift sent to me by the universe. I was in a totally rotten mood, but then you came along and I barely remember what I was upset about. Glad I could help, I guess." "So, cute boy, what's your name? All good relationships must start with a formal greeting after all." "I'm Luca Kufan. And you?" Chloe scoffed. "Surely you must be joking." Luca blinked. "About what?" "There is no way you don't know who I am. I'm me, after all." "Oh, so your name is Me? That's pretty unique. I like it." "What? No! My name isn't Me." Luca just chuckled at her escalated emotions. Blushing from frustration and embarrassment, Chloe said, "How do you not know who I am? My father is the mayor, for crying out loud." "Seriously? That's pretty cool," Luca told her. "So, should I assume that your last name is Bourgeois, or—" Chloe groaned. "It's Chloe. My name is Chloe. Chloe Bourgeois. Daughter of Andre Bourgeois, the mayor, and Audrey Bourgeois, the director of Style Queen magazine. I'm basically royalty." She got up in his face and glared at him. Still smiling at her, Luca took a step back and extended his hand for her to shake, saying, "Well, it's nice to meet you, Chloe Bourgeois." She looked down at his hand. "You're making fun of me, aren't you?" "To be fair, you're pretty funny," he said. "I am not." She scoffed before folding her arms and looking away with a pout. "You're lucky you're cute." Catching the hint, Luca retracted his hand but continued to give her a friendly expression. "Well, I'm glad you're okay. You perked up really quickly, so that's a good sign. The vibes around you are much less tense than they were a few minutes ago. Are your sunglasses all right as well?" Chloe looked down at the sunglasses she was still holding. There were noticeable jagged holes where the bits of lens used to be. The lenses that were intact had cracks. "Why do you ask? They're just sunglasses," Chloe said as she began to situate them back onto the top of her head, but she stopped short. Instead, she hooked them to the collar of her shirt, a look of shame on her face. Luca thought to himself for a moment. "I suppose that's true. Well, seeing as you're okay, I'll be off." Wait! You can't go!" Chloe pleaded. "Didn't you hear anything I said before? Fate clearly brought us together. So, how about it? Go on a date with me." Luca looked at her with a bit of surprise. "A date? I mean, I appreciate your forwardness, but—" "Stop right there. That sounds like a rejection. I don't do rejections. Am I not pretty enough?" she desperately asked him. "No, that's not it. You're quite pretty." "Then what?" "Oh,
I know. You want compensation. I can get you almost anything you want. Just name it. I am super rich after all. There will be major perks to being my boyfriend, I assure you, she said smugly. But I don't want to be compensated, Luca told her. I mean, would you seriously be okay with paying for someone's affection? Without skipping a beat, she replied, Sure, why not? Luca frowned and looked at her sympathetically. He sighed. Oh, Chloe Bourgeois, I can tell you have a lot going on. Your inner melody is chaotic and out of tune. Offended, she asked, What the heck is that supposed to mean? It's kind of hard to explain, he told her. If I had my guitar, I could show you a bit better. Chloe gasped. You're a musician? That makes you even more attractive. In any case, I'm sorry, I'm not interested in dating you. Chloe's face fell in dejection as he explained. Not only did we just meet, but I feel like you need to work through some stuff before you can enter into a healthy relationship. I'm sorry if that came off as a bit too forward. I just feel like it's something you need to hear. I mean, I don't know much about you, and I'm sorry for making assumptions. It's just a feeling I have, is all. Once again, Chloe clenched her fists as she stared down at the ground in resentment. Luca then told her, However, Chloe Bourgeois, if you want, we can be friends. But before Luca could finish that last word, Chloe ran past him at full speed without giving him a second glance. Stupid, 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 stupid! Everyone is stupid! She thought to herself as she ran, tears forming in her eyes. And before he knew it, she was out of sight. Looking on in her direction, Luca sighed. Well, that's a shame. Hopefully things end up working out for her. I can tell there's a fun person in there somewhere. Oh well, I guess. And with that, Luca continued on walking in the direction he was originally set, curious about what events the rest of the day would bring. Ladybug sat by herself on the ledge of a building overlooking the streets of Paris. Or at least, that's what she was supposed to be doing. Instead, her eyes were closed and she was nodding off, doing her best to keep her head upright. And then she heard an ungraceful thud behind her, instantly waking her up. She turned around and saw Cat Noir face planted onto the ground. Ladybug giggled. I thought that cats were always supposed to land on their feet. Cat didn't even attempt to look at her. Regular cats get to nap and recharge. With a grimace, he held his head up. How are you holding up so well, m'lady? Fake it till you make it, kitty. Fake it till you make it, she sighed. No, but really though, I'm exhausted. Any luck? Cat Noir finally got up and joined Ladybug on the ledge. None. It's so weird how my dad's able to get into people's heads from a distance like that. He doesn't even have to be near them. That's kind of cheap and unfair if you ask me. He can be hiding literally anywhere. Cat groaned. Oh, why did we have to live in Paris with millions of people? Ladybug smiled at him. You'd rather we live in a remote village in the middle of nowhere? It would make things so much easier, Cat told her. Though I wonder how my dad's fashion designs would change in that kind of environment. Ladybug giggled. I'm glad you've come to a place where you can joke about it a bit. Her expression became softer. I do worry about you often, you know. Cat Noir sheepishly scratched his cheek. Thanks for caring. I just figured being down all the time won't help my situation. I want to be as optimistic as I can. With you by my side, we'll definitely win this fight. I wish we'd win, faster. He yawned. I have no doubt we'll win, kitty. But still, you can always talk to me if you need to. Cat smiled back at her. Thanks, Bugaboo. Ladybug blinked in confusion. Bug-a-boo? Did you just call me Bugaboo? Yeah, I was thinking of another name besides Milady since Milady sounds super formal, which is fine sometimes since you're classy like that, but I wanted to think of something cute, and Plague gave me that awesome idea. Bugaboo is an adorable name for you. Ladybug stuck out her tongue in disgust. Ew, no! I might be exhausted, but I'll never be so tired that I'll accept being called, Bugaboo. It's so cringy. Cringy in a cute way? Cat Noir tilted his head towards her, showing his big shiny eyes. She grinned at him. The attempt is cute, but the name itself is just cringy. Milady is fine, though. It makes you sound super fancy when you say it. Cat Noir shrugged. Maybe the name will grow on you later on. Ladybug shook her head and sighed while still grinning. Anyway, How are things with Chloe?
She's still not talking to me. It's been a whole week. I had no idea she can get that mad.
Ladybug frowned. You don't know her the way I know her.
And Cat responded, you don't know her the way I know her. She's not an awful person. She just has some issues to work out.
Ladybug sighed. That's putting it lightly, but you know her better, I guess. I'm in no condition to debate about her. I am utterly pooped.
Same. It feels like we've been doing this forever now, and it's barely been a month. I'm all for saving the day, but...
Hawkmoth has been relentless this entire week. I had no time to study for my math test, Ladybug complained. We're gonna get sloppy if something doesn't let up.
What can we do? Cat asked.
There's not much we can do. It's just you and me doing this, and we're completely new to this whole miraculous world thing. We're in over our heads.
Didn't Master Fu say that we can ask for help?
Yeah, he did, Ladybug remembered. We should probably go check in on him tomorrow. If Hawkmoth will allow us to, that is. She stood up. In any case, I'm gonna retire for tonight. Cat sleepily smiled up at her.
Aw, but I was so enjoying our time together.
If I stay here any longer, you'll see my grumpy side, and you don't want to see that, she jokingly told him.
All of your sides are adorable, m'lady.
Ladybug turned her head as she could feel herself blushing. You can be so silly, you know that? She stuttered.
Cat Noir then stood up as well. So then, I'll see you tomorrow at school?
She turned back around to face him and nodded, holding up her fist. Of course. Just try not to sleep in this time.
He gave her a fist bump. Same to you, Ladybug. And with that, they parted ways.
At his unknown hideout, Gabriel sat down on a padded chair, staring off into space as if lost in thought. His Kwami, Nuru, floated next to him, timidly looking down, seemingly too afraid to say anything. Natalie walks up to him, carrying a cup with a steaming liquid. Floating next to her was her own Kwami, Dusu.
Here's your green tea, Gabriel, she said while handing it to him.
It's piping hot, so drink up, Dusu cheerily said.
Gabriel ignored the Kwami. Thank you, Natalie. He took a sip. Of course. I hope it'll soothe you enough so that you can have a good night's rest. I appreciate it. After all, there's still so much more work to be done. If I may ask, Natalie began to say, how come you have increased the production of Akamas? When this all began, you'd only send one out every few days or so.
I'll say, the Akamas remind me of dandelion seeds just floating around.
Dusu zipped around. He then suddenly became a bit less energized.
It makes me kind of sad they're being used like this, though. Why are things turning out this way?
Natalie glanced over at Dusu. Hush now, Dusu. It's time to sleep.
Okay.
The Kwami immediately perked up and then landed on Natalie's head, falling asleep almost instantly. Natalie, giving a small grin, reached up and patted his head lightly. At first, Gabriel said, I'll admit, I had my reservations about ending the lives of Ladybug and Cat Noir. After all, from what I can tell, they are just children. Even with the knowledge that with their miraculous I could resurrect them, it was difficult to go through with my plans. What changed? Natalie asked. My resolve grew stronger. I've been without my wife for too long, and now I'm separated from Adrian, the greatest gift Emily ever gave me.
Gabriel.
Natalie looked on at him with sympathetic eyes. With each passing day, with Adrian knowing I'm Hawkmoth, he likely sees me as an enemy. He may even hate me. I don't blame him, but at the same time, it hurts.
I understand how you feel, Natalie told him.
Family is meant to be a gift, a safe haven of love that you can rely on. When they turn their back on you, for whatever reason, it's not something you can easily recover from. She lingered on that thought. Gabriel put a hand into his blazer and reached into a hidden pocket. He took out a folded-up piece of paper and unfolded it. It was a portrait of him with his family. He looked upon it longingly. The thought came to me that I could just end all of this. Adrian clearly hasn't told anyone about my identity as Hawkmoth, so he may still love me after all, even after abandoning him. I could go to him and beg for forgiveness and put all of this behind me.
You can still do that, Master, Nuru said. From what I've learned, your son seems to be really sweet and understanding and...
Be silent! Gabriel barked at him, making the small creature go quiet. I will not allow you to sway my resolve any more, Nuru. I need my wife back, and there's no guarantee that Adrian will forgive me.
and with each day that passes, his disdain will grow even more. I can't bear it. No, I will destroy Ladybug and Cat Noir and get them miraculous. I will fix everything. Natalie looked on at him with determined admiration. Gabriel continued, and so to answer your question, Natalie, with my observation of Ladybug and Cat Noir being mere teenagers, it stands to reason that they go to school and have other responsibilities. So if I attack every day, they'll grow overwhelmed and exhausted, more likely to slip up and make a mistake. And when they do, that's when I'll claim my victory. He snickered. That old fool Fu is too paranoid to allow any more miraculous to be activated. So regardless of how powerful the Black Cat and Ladybug miraculous are, they are still inexperienced sitting ducks fighting all by themselves. It's only a matter of time before I get my wish. He looks over at Natalie. Are you still with me? She nodded. Yes, sir, of course. I'd do anything for you. And Emily, of course. She cleared her throat. In any case, won't it be tiring for you to scope out the city every day? It's a small price to pay. Besides, I'll have times like this where I can rest, and I have you by my side to assist me if anything becomes too much. To this statement, Natalie blushed a bit. And so the night continued on, everyone attempting to get the rest they needed to face whatever was to come the next day. The next day at school, Mari, Adrian, and their classmates were all sitting in their seats listening to a lecture. Marinette's eyelids were heavy and she struggled to keep them open. Her head would dip and she'd jolt back up only to go through the routine again. Adrian and Alia subtly glanced over at her, both concerned. Nina wasn't present that day. Eventually, Mari gave in to her exhaustion and gravity brought her head down onto the table with a loud bam, instantly waking her back up and drawing the whole class's attention onto her. She blushed with all of the eyes staring at her and tried to sink into her chair. Miss Bustier, who had been keeping an eye on her, stopped the lecture and addressed the tired girl. Marinette, are you all right? You've been falling asleep all morning. Mari yawned. Yes, ma'am. I'm okay, just a little out of it is all. I'm sorry for disrupting the class. Miss Bustier walked up to Marinette and placed a hand on the girl's forehead. It doesn't feel like you have a fever, but just in case, I want you to go to the nurse. Maybe you just need some rest. Mari shook her head. No, ma'am, that's totally unnecessary. I'm fine. I can stay. Don't argue. I need you to be well, so please head on over to the nurse. I'm sure your fellow classmates would be more than happy to share their notes with you later on. Alia raised her hand. Is it all right if I take her, Miss Bustier? I want to make sure she gets there without any problems. Miss Bustier nodded. Of course. Thank you, ma'am. Alia stood up and escorted a guilty Mari out of the classroom. During their walk there, Alia continued to look on at her friend in concern. I sure hope you're not catching whatever sickness Nino has. Yeah, I hope I'm not either. You've been dozing off a lot for the past few days, now that I think about it, and you've been a bit anxious too. What's that about? Are you even sleeping at night? Alia asked. I'm getting as much sleep as I can, Alia. I'm fine, Marinette told her. Alia gave Mari a skeptical look. Is something going on with you? No, wait. Something is definitely going on with you. You've been a lot jumpier lately and a lot more stuttery. And sometimes it feels like you don't have as much time to hang out anymore. Or you find excuses to end our hangouts early. Nino's been noticing it too. Mari avoided looking at her friend. Nothing's been going on. Except school, I guess. She took a moment to think about it some more. Things just feel a bit more stressful this semester. And with me getting older, the pressure of having to take over my parents' bakery one day is floating around in my head, so it might just be driving me a bit crazy, is all. No, Alia responded in a heartbeat. That's totally not it. If it was something as small as school, you would have said something. You had no problems telling us before when you were having trouble with memorizing the dates in history class. And yeah, I know the pressure of taking over the bakery is there, but you're only 14. No one is expecting that from you until years from now. Besides, if it was that, again, you would have said something. I know you, Marinette. Something else is bothering you. So what's got you so worked up? Is it Adrian? Marinette stopped walking, still avoiding Alia's gaze. No, it's not Adrian. I already told you what's up. There's nothing more to it.
Please stop asking.
No, I'm not gonna stop asking. I'm worried about you. Sleep deprivation is serious business, and heck, even if you are getting sleep, something else is burning you out and it's not healthy. I just want to help you, Mari. Marinette clenched her fists as she turned her head even more so that Alia couldn't see her face.
This isn't something you can help me with.
Why not? We're best friends. You know I've got your back and I always will. Marinette's voice became weaker.
You wouldn't understand.
Then help me understand. Alia placed her hand on Marinette's shoulder, turning her friend around to face her, and what she saw was tears running down the girl's reddened cheeks.
Oh, Mari.
I'm so sorry, Alia. I want to tell you. I wish I could tell you and Nino, but I can't. I just can't. I'm so sorry. Alia immediately hugged her and began stroking the back of her head tenderly. Shh. It's okay. It's okay. I'm the one who should be apologizing. I accidentally turned on investigator mode and forgot to be more sensitive to you. You're not some person I'm interviewing, you're my friend. Those lines can get blurred sometimes, so I'm sorry. Marinette hiccuped. I really want to tell you. I do, but... It's fine, Marinette. You don't have to tell me, and you shouldn't have to feel like you need to. Alia broke the hug, but placed her hands supportively on her friend's shoulders. I trust you, and I know you. If it's really something I need to know, you'll tell me at the right time. Besides, just because we're best friends doesn't mean we shouldn't have boundaries, right? Marinette sniffed. But what if... Don't worry, there's no deadline on friendship. You can tell me tomorrow, or the next day, or next month, in 10 years from now, or not tell me at all. It's cool. I'm just worried about you is all. Wiping away her tears, Mari gave her a small smile.
Thank you, Alia.
The two of them resumed walking for a few moments in comfortable silence. Alia then said, Well, whatever it is, please just take care of yourself, okay? If the mom of our group isn't doing well, neither are we. She gave her a wink. And so the two girls arrived at the nurse's office and Mari remained there to sleep while Alia went back to class. After a few more hours, the school day came to an end. Adrian and Alia joined up to see how Marinette was doing. Having woke up from her nap, she seemed a bit better rested, but her friends insisted on walking her out of the school. Once outside, Adrian looked down at the notebooks that Alia was holding and said, Go ahead and take Nino's homework to him, Alia. I can take Marinette home.
Well, wait, what? You don't need to...
Adrian shot Marinette a look as if to convey a message, and then she said,
Oh, yeah, that should work.
I am still feeling a little dizzy, so it's great that Adrian can make sure I get home safely. She chuckled nervously. Alia looked at Marinette and then at Adrian, and then back to Marinette. The wheels in her head started turning. Are you sure, Mari? I don't mind walking with you, and then swinging by Nino's.
No, don't worry about it. I'm just a bit sleepy. It's nothing too bad, promise.
Marinette told her with a perky tone. At that point, both Marinette and Adrian were giving Alia nervous grins as they desperately tried to get her off of their case. Alia's eyes narrowed at them as she continued to think, but then she gave them a reassuring grin. Well then, if you're sure, I'll be off. Us too, Adrian confirmed. He and Marinette then started their walk away from the campus. As the two of them got further away, Alia continued to stare at their backs. She thought to herself. Adrian has dark circles under his eyes as well. Come to think of it, he's been drowsy just like Marinette. Whatever is going on with her, he's definitely involved in it. Recalling the events of earlier in the day, as well as her poor decision-making that nearly got her and Nino killed, she sighed. I should just hold back for now. She started to walk on her own way. But still, I have a funny feeling. I wonder... A bit later on during their walk, Marinette groaned. I hate keeping secrets from Nino and Alia. It's not fair. Tiki popped her head out from Marinette's mini purse.
I know it's hard, Marinette, but the situation with Hawkmoth is dangerous. It's best to not get them involved.
I don't see what the big deal is, Plag added as he popped out as well. It'll be one less thing to worry about. Tiki puffed her cheeks.
The big deal is that if they ever get akumatized, Hawkmoth will have a direct line to Adrian and Marinette, and we can't have that. Sure, but what if Adrian or Marinette ever get akumatized? It'll be game over in that case as well, Plag said. You can't live life in fear, or else you'll never discover that stinky cheese actually tastes delicious. Tiki shook her head. Of course, you brought this back around to food. Marinette groaned again. Why does this have to be so complicated? I'm sorry, Marinette. It must be really hard keeping all of this from them, Adrian told her. She sighed. What about you? Is it hard keeping this from Chloe? To be honest, I'm not sure how I'm feeling about Chloe in this whole situation. She's like my sister, and I want to keep her in the loop, but at the same time, I want to avoid further complication. And Chloe is the definition of complication. Got it. Marinette nodded. Adrian hung his head and sighed as well. Tiki then spoke up. Marinette, I'm super grateful that you have such a kind friend such as Alia. I can tell she is a real blessing. Marinette smiled. She really is. She's a real ride-or-die type of friend. She's always been like that, ever since we first met back in kindergarten. Oh wow, Adrian looked over at her. You've known Alia that long? Yup. She was the first friend I made when I moved to Paris. Wait, you moved to Paris? You didn't always live here? Nope. I was actually born in London and moved here when I was 5. My dad felt enough confidence in his baking that he knew he was ready to test his recipes on the Parisians. Lo and behold, he absolutely killed it. She gave a super proud grin. But yeah, Alia has been great, and she's always been headstrong and, admittedly, a bit reckless. She knows what she wants and goes for it, but she's loyal as can be, super strong and super smart. I'll admit, a part of me always wanted to be more like her. But you don't need to be like her, Marinette. You're perfect just being you, Adrian said with a bit of a blush. She blushed as well, but didn't let him see. I did say it was just a part of me who wanted that. I know that she and I are different and have different strengths and weaknesses. I'd say we balance each other out quite well. Watch out, Marinette. You'll end up making Adrian jealous by talking about your buddy like that, Plag teased. She is not making me jealous. Don't suggest things like that, Adrian, a bit flustered, sternly told his Kwame. Marinette giggled. We all balance each other out. How does that sound? I think it's fantastic, Marinette, Tiki smiled. Remembering how tired she was, Marinette's energy suddenly plummeted as she yawned. And in case you're curious, we met Nino in 2nd grade. He was pretty popular with everyone with his chill personality and love of music. Alia just basically pulled him into our group one day and Nino never complained about it. She looked down at the ground as she walked. Next to my family, those two mean the world to me. So it just sucks that I can't include them during this monumental time in my life. Seeing how much this bothered her, Adrian frowned, not knowing what to say that could possibly cheer her up. Once they made it to a secure location, Adrian and Marinette transformed into Cat Noir and Ladybug. They then used their super agility to swing and leap onto Master Fu's domain. Once inside, the old man greeted them. Ladybug, Cat Noir, it's nice to see that you two are all right. I'll admit, I thought I'd be seeing you two more often, but I understand the circumstances. How have you been, Master? Ladybug asked. I've been as well as I could be. Then again, how well can one be when they know they've doomed the world? Fu said with a bit of a gloomy tone. Now, don't say that, Ladybug said. The world is still intact and we're on the case. Things will turn out fine. And then Master Fu said flatly, That was just a test, and you passed. That took Ladybug aback, and she didn't know how to respond to the absurdity of that exchange. Master Fu, have you had any luck in locating Hawkmoth? Cat Noir inquired. The old man shook his head. No leads, I'm afraid. The butterfly Miraculous makes it easy for its user to use the power from a distance, so this is no easy task. Make no mistake, though, I am searching every day. I may not be as spry as you two are with your Miraculous activated, but an old man can still do his part. Speaking of doing your part, how are the reinforcements going? Did you manage to get anyone to come? Ladybug asked.
We only ask because things are getting kind of hectic. Hawkmoth has been attacking every day and we're exhausted, so we can really use the help.
About that. Well, most of the people I contacted denied their assistance. Cat Noir frowned. What? Why? This is the Asian Miracle Box. Shouldn't they feel responsible at all? It's not that they don't feel responsible, it's that they have their own problems to worry about. And even the ones that do not don't wish to abandon their posts. Theoretically, if a major threat like Hawkmoth were to emerge within their protected domain while they were gone, that would mean trouble, Fu explained. Cat Noir ground his teeth. Okay, that makes sense, but come on! We're expected to just handle this ourselves? Marinette was so tired today that she had to go to the nurse's office. We can't take too much more of this. Ladybug immediately shushed him. Shh, Cat Noir! Hero names only! Sorry, milady, it's cool that we have powers and all, but it's a lot. Master Fu sighed. I understand that you're tired, but I feel like you missed a key word in my previous explanation. I said that most of them denied assisting. I didn't say all. The teen's eyes lit up with hope. Does that mean... I've gotten a reply that someone from Japan will be sent to aid in your efforts in bringing down this enemy. Ladybug and Cat Noir gave each other high tens and chuckled with relief. Finally! We're getting some help! However, Fu interrupted, I don't know when they are supposed to arrive. They said that they needed time to prepare. Putting an end to their celebration, the hero's energy dimmed down. Exactly how much time are we looking at here? Ladybug asked. Like I said, I don't know. So it might not be for weeks, Cat Noir exclaimed. Theoretically, Fu said in a much quieter tone. Ugh! Cat Noir groaned loudly. He then took a deep breath to collect himself. You know what? I have a better idea. It actually came to me on our way here. Waiting for new heroes sucks, right? So why don't we just make some new heroes right now? Or should I say, right meow? He proudly grinned at the pun. With secondhand embarrassment, Ladybug avoided acknowledging the pun and asked him, What do you mean by that? Well, I'm glad you asked. Cat Noir pointed to the miracle box. That thing has more Miraculous in it. So why can't we just give out some of them and make us a superhero team? We'll have the numerical advantage against Hawkmoth and Myura. No, absolutely not, Fu said sternly. What? Why? It's a good idea. It's a foolish idea. All around the world and throughout time, miraculous holders were only given the honor of becoming miraculous holders after fully understanding what they were getting into. More than training your body, it requires training your mind, your way of thinking, your wisdom, and general intelligence of the miraculous themselves. Discipline is needed, and the knowledge that you are bound to a creature you may or may not die fighting with. It is not until this point, plus earning respect and trust, that you earn a miraculous. Please remember, young ones, that you were accidentally given your miraculous. Well, Ladybug was. I still don't know how you got yours, Cat Noir, but I assure you, in an ideal world, neither of you would have been burdened with this. It is for these reasons I can't just get some random citizen and entrust them with something as dangerous and valuable as a miraculous. Cat Noir nodded. Okay, but hear me out. What if the new holders weren't random citizens and instead were, say, our trusted friends? Ladybug looked over at her partner in shock. Our friends? You don't mean... Fu shook his head. Still no. Besides, if I were to hand out the miraculous to random citizens, they wouldn't be undisciplined children. Seeing the unapproving look on Cat Noir's face, he added, Not that I don't think you two are considerate and hardworking, but the fact of the matter doesn't change. I won't put anyone else in danger. With all due respect, Master Fu, everyone is in danger, Ladybug said. Hawkmoth is literally trying to kill us and will take down anyone if it means getting our attention so that we show up and try to fix the problem. We can't ignore it, or else innocents will die. But if we continue to fight by ourselves, we might die. Both of these options are bad. She took a step closer to the old man. I agree with Cat Noir. We need help now.
We're gonna make silly mistakes that could cost everything if we don't get the relief we need. Besides, we'd have more people to look for Hawkmoth, thus ending the problem faster. I know it's a lot to ask, but please...
I said no! Master Fu raised his voice. This made Ladybug go silent. The old man sighed. I'm sorry, you two. You'll just have to wait until help arrives. I believe in you, so stay strong.
Frowning, Ladybug turned around and ran out of Fu's house. Glaring once more at him, Cat Noir followed her. Master Fu watched as they disappeared from his sight. Hanging his head in shame, he sat down at his table and stared down at his green tea. He took a sip of it. It's grown cold. Ladybug swung between buildings and launched herself into the sky, landing on a rooftop. She clenched her fists tightly as her shoulders trembled. It took all of her strength to not cry. Cat Noir wasn't too far behind as he leapt up onto the roof and joined her. Seeing her body trembling, he couldn't help but look sad. "I'm sorry you have to see me like this," Ladybug told him without looking back. I don't handle my emotions well when I'm tired." "You don't have to be sorry. I get it. You're tired and frustrated. I am too," Cat reassured her. "Am I being unreasonable, though? Maybe I'm just being a big baby because I can't get what I want. Master Fu is right. We don't understand so much, and we just got thrown into this. He knows more about this than we do, so is it okay for us to just demand things from him? I just don't know." "I mean, yeah, there's a lot we don't know, but I'm on your side here. We do need help. We're going against someone who has way more knowledge on the miraculous and who has trained his mind and body for this for years. He's a super villain. Meanwhile, we're just baby heroes." Cat Noir promptly stopped talking when Ladybug shot him a glare. She sighed. "So I am being a baby about this." No, that's not what I meant. We're just severely over our heads with this is all." "Yeah, I think..." Ladybug held her yo-yo and looked down at it. "We're both right. Us and Fu. But that almost doesn't matter if we don't come up with a solution. I don't want to die, Cat." She clenched her fist over the yo-yo. "And I don't want any of our loved ones to die. But I don't know what the right answer is." She thought about the miracle box and the many different powers it holds. She thought about Alia and Nino, and she also thought about Hawkmoth and Master Fu. "I am pretty tired, but..." Cat smiled at her. "I think I have enough energy to keep this up a little while longer as we think about it. We've got the power of youth on our side. Teens have the power to stay up for days studying and doing other things, right? So let's channel that kind of energy, yeah?" Ladybug wiped away a tear as she smirked. "Power of youth? Where did you get that line from?" After a few moments, they both answered, "Alia." "She really is an I'll rest when I'm dead type of person, isn't she?" Ladybug remarked. "She saw me walking in the hallway like a zombie and kept poking my cheek, going, 'Where's your youth at? Come on, show me some spirit, Agrest.'" "You should be happy. If Alia wants to be your personal cheerleader, that means she really considers you a friend," Ladybug assured him. "Really? Then I'm glad. But still, you can't just tell a cat to get energetic, you know?" "Please don't tell me you hissed at her and tried to scratch her," Ladybug asked in an exasperated tone. "Of course not. I'm not feral. I simply purred and curled up into a ball at her feet, making her feel super awkward as I slept." "If you actually did something like that, I would have died from secondhand embarrassment. And then you would have died because Alia would have killed you for putting her on the spot like that." The two heroes laughed. "Thanks, Kitty." He looked over at her with curiosity on his face. "For what?" "For making me laugh. I'm really on edge, but you give me a sense of ease. Thank you for that." He smiled at her. "Anytime, milady. We might be two confused heroes, but we're confused together. Just call us the accidental duo." He pulled her into a side hug. "Because we both got our miraculous on accident." "Let's not call ourselves that, and let's not shout to the heavens how underqualified we are for this." Ladybug gently pulled away from him. "I might feel a bit better, but I'm still tired and we still have a problem." She took some steps forward until she reached the edge of the roof. Staring off at the tip of the setting sun and at the lights of Paris igniting across the land, she soon began to pace back and forth along the edge.
We could just go back to Fu every day? You know, annoy him until he budges? Kat suggested.
I feel like that wouldn't work. He seems like he can tolerate a lot, Ladybug replied as she continued to pace and think. Besides, we don't want to risk him moving to a new location.
Do you really think he'd do that just to avoid us?
I don't know him well enough to determine that. Several moments of silence followed, during which Ladybug continued to think about things, and Kat tried to come up with solutions as well. The longer the meeting went on, the cloudier their brains got from the lack of sleep. They both wanted to go home and rest, but they knew this needed to be dealt with. Once again, Ladybug thought about Hawkmoth. Gabriel aggressed. He was going to be given the Ladybug Miraculous after working so hard for it. But when he didn't get what he wanted, he felt cheated. He took matters into his own hands and stole 2 of the Miraculous so that he could have the powers to get what he wanted. He betrayed the trust of his father, Master Fu, and he's willing to hurt people, even children, just to get a hold of the Ladybug and Cat Miraculous. He believes what he's doing is right, even though it's so obviously wrong. All for Adrian's mother. All for a better outcome. Ladybug wondered, is it at all possible to do something bad for something good? Can there be such a good outcome for such actions? Or will you always get bitten in the end? Where do you draw the line? Robin Hood stole money to give to the poor. Stealing is bad, but helping those in need is good. Could Robin Hood have just gotten himself a well-paying job and earned the money honestly to help those people? Or was the system so against him that he had no choice but to resort to stealing? Robin Hood is not a villain, but Hawkmoth is a villain. Then, what will I be? Ladybug asked herself. Cat Noir dropped his fist into his opposite hand as he thought of something. Well, how about we... Suddenly, there was a loud commotion coming from several blocks away. Crashes, screams, and general chaos could be heard in flashes of light seen in the distance. So, what are the chances that that is just a movie set we're hearing, along with some really convincing acting? Cat Noir asked. Ladybug sighed. If it were, it would be the most successful and exciting first take in history. But we know better than that. Duty calls. Cat Noir prepared to leap forward when he noticed Ladybug looking off in the opposite direction. You coming? She didn't say anything as she continued to be distracted by something. Ladybug? Huh? Oh, yeah. It's just... there's something important I need to do, she told him. Something important? But there's literally an Akuma attack happening right now. Ladybug grimaced. I know. It's just... Do you trust me, kitty? What? Do you trust me? She asked again. Cat Noir looked into her eyes. He could see the desperate and exasperated need for validation, as well as sense the storm of thoughts weighing her down. His expression softened. Of course I trust you. Then please hold off the enemy as long as you can. I have an idea. And with that, she released her yo-yo and swung off. Cat Noir had an uneasy feeling in his gut, but for the sake of innocent civilians, he had to ignore it and go towards the danger, holding down the fort until his partner returned. Several minutes earlier, Alia was in her room, lying on her bed, staring at the ceiling. She recalled Marinette's misery in keeping whatever secret she was hiding. It was eating her up, not just the fact that she couldn't tell her best friend, but also the thing itself. Something had felt off with her for a few weeks now. When did it begin? She got kind of weird when Adrian first arrived at school. At first, Marinette didn't like him because of his association with Chloe, and then she developed a crush on him after discovering how nice and sincere he was. Okay, so she became a bit of a nervous wreck when she developed her crush. That's not so weird. A lot of people act that way when their crush is involved. But now, Mari and Adrian are friends and seem rather comfortable around each other. Marinette herself even wonders if she still likes him as passionately as she did before. She's behaving more naturally around him, and yet something was still off. Alia closed her eyes and continued to follow her line of thinking. Think, Alia. There's something else going on. Something must have been happening around her. Something else that changed. What happened around the time when the secrets and her flakiness began? She turned her head over to her computer. She hadn't posted anything on her lady blog in a couple of days. Supposedly, the near-death experience and complete bummer of being grounded kind of zapped away a bit of motivation.
That wasn't to say that her motivation was gone. No, she still had that fire in her to find out more about Ladybug and Cat Noir and be one of the best journalists ever. Wait, hold on. Ladybug and Cat Noir. Wait, and Hawkmoth too. When did all of that insanity begin? Life used to be relatively quiet until they showed up. The three of them showed up at around the same time. When was that? It hasn't been that long, Alia thought to herself. Now that I think about it, it happened around the time that Adrian enrolled at our school. And didn't Hawkmoth, or some villain, destroy part of Adrian's home? Why would Hawkmoth, or whatever akumatized villain, attack Adrian's home? So far, all of the attacks have been in public, out in the open and where there's a bunch of people. So why go out of the way like that? If Hawkmoth wanted to get Ladybug and Cat Noir's attention, then causing a scene where not many eyes are for the news to spread to them doesn't make much sense. And yet, both of them showed up. That would mean that at least one of them was already close by and knew what was going on. Alia spontaneously sat up as her eyes widened. Hold on. No, it can't be. Okay, calm down, Alia. Don't jump to conclusions. But she dug deep into her brain and thought about some of the superhero comics she's read over the years. Point number 1, all is relatively peaceful in Paris. Point number 2, Adrian arrives at school. Point number 3, Marinette dislikes Adrian. Point number 4, Ladybug, Hawkmoth, and Cat Noir show up. Point number 5, Marinette has a crush on Adrian. Point number 6, Akuma attacks happen more frequently. Point number 7, Marinette goes MIA for a few days. Point number 8, Adrian's home gets attacked by Hawkmoth. Point number 9, Adrian's father goes on a business trip. Point number 10, Marinette and Adrian are suddenly friends. Point 10.2, Marinette doesn't mention to me or Nino that she and Adrian are friends until we see it in person. Point 10.3, they seemed apprehensive to explain how they even became friends. Point number 11, Adrian and Marinette get nervous and super weird whenever Ladybug, Cat Noir, or superheroes get mentioned. Point number 12, Hawkmoth creates even more Akumas. Point number 13, Adrian and Marinette are exhausted. Point number 14, Marinette has a secret that she can't tell me, of all people. Alia's brain was working on overtime at this point, and she was becoming overwhelmed by the evidence. But that can't be right. When the Akuma attacked near our school, Adrian and Mari were hiding in the school when Ladybug and Cat Noir were saving us. But wait, were they actually? Alia remembered that when she and Nino were caught by Miss Bustier, Mari and Adrian were nowhere to be found. And then they suddenly appeared out of nowhere with flimsy stories about where they were hiding. Alia gasped as she jumped from her bed and onto her feet. Oh my goodness. Marinette and Adrian are... A few minutes later, Alia was putting on her shoes and running past her living room. Her mother, who was in the kitchen, took notice. Alia, what are you... Sorry, Mom. Major emergency. Marinette has my homework and it's due tomorrow. Don't want to fail. Be back in a flash. And without even allowing her mom the opportunity to respond, Alia bolted out of the door. Sprinting down the street, Alia was determined to make it to Marinette's house as soon as possible, but before she even got close, she caught a glimpse of a shape moving quickly in her periphery. She recognized the red, black spotted blur and without thinking, called out, "Marinette!" Caught off guard, the superheroine looked down at Alia, causing her to miss her target with her yo-yo, making her fall to the ground with a thud. Gasping, Alia ran up to the hero and helped her onto her feet. "I'm so sorry if I surprised you. I kind of just blurted that out, didn't I?" Ladybug shook her head. No, you're fine. I shouldn't have allowed myself to get distracted like that. That was totally ungraceful of me." Eyes widening, Ladybug took a step away from Alia and cleared her throat and stuttered. Oh, I know you. You're that reporter girl from the other day, right? Alia, was it? I hope you're staying out of trouble." Alia just proceeded to stare intensely at the girl. Ladybug avoided her gaze. Anyway, are you looking for someone? I heard you say someone's name. Are they lost? Drop the act, Marinette. I know it's you."
Ladybug's voice cracked as she let out a squeak. And don't even try to hide it. Adrian already told me he's Cat Noir, so there's no point in hiding it. What? Ladybug's tone became aggravated as she swung her arms out in disbelief. Seriously? I can't believe he actually told you that without talking to me about it first. When did he even tell you? It was when I was asleep, wasn't it? I know he's worried about me, but that's totally crossing the line. With a completely straight face, Alia said, I'm sure it would have crossed the line if it were true, but it's not. Ladybug blinked. What? It was a fib. I tricked you. Alia sighed. Honestly, Mari, you're too gullible, especially for a superhero. That can be dangerous, you know. Eyes widened in disbelief, Ladybug nervously stuttered through a sentence. But you... How? Alia smirked pridefully. Looks like my deduction skills are nothing to sneeze at. 'Tis expected of the #1 journalist in the making. That, plus my undeniable knowledge of you and the superhero genre in general, led to the only logical conclusion of you being Ladybug. Plus, to be honest, you and Adrian are so obvious. You left behind ridiculously large breadcrumbs. Someone was bound to figure it out eventually. That, or I'm a genius. Ladybug let out a deep sigh. Were we really that obvious? Sort of, but hey, you're doing a good enough job that most people haven't caught on yet, so there's that. Ladybug hung her head in embarrassment and shame. Alia's expression softened towards her friend. Well, I'm sure you were headed somewhere important, so I won't keep you. In fact, I'm not quite sure why I ran all the way out here. Ladybug looked up at her friend. I could have easily confronted you about this tomorrow. It's just, when I realized the truth, I instantly felt like you needed me. Like I needed to help out in any way I could. And so, I'm risking being grounded even longer, but overall, I'm glad that, for one, I'm not crazy, and two, that you know I've got your back. She smiled at her. Hearing those words, Ladybug felt warm inside, culminating in tears welling up in her eyes. In that moment, Marinette recalled all of the years of Alia being such a loyal friend. She also thought about her bravery, intelligence, and complete sincerity. Alia, I'm so sorry. Alia shook her head. It's fine. Like I said, I know superheroes, and I know how important it is to keep your loved ones safe, so I'm not mad. In fact, Alia gave a wide grin. It's pretty awesome that my best friend is Ladybug. Actually, now that I think about it, you denied taking a photo with me the other day. Alia, I'm sorry, but there's an Akuma attack happening right now. What? Well, don't let me keep you. Go! We'll chat tomorrow. Alia turned Ladybug around and pushed her in the direction she was swinging towards. But, Alia, I need your help. Ladybug slowly turned back to face her friend. My help? What can I do? Call the police? Looking down and away, Ladybug had a guilty expression on her face. I did something questionable. No, I did something completely wrong. It was wrong, but I needed to do it. Maybe with this wrong, I can make a right, even if it doesn't make sense. She began to fidget with her fingers. What did you do? Taking a deep breath, Ladybug gave a hefty exhale. She then reached behind her and took out what looked like a small black jewelry box. What's that? Alia asked. Well, I'm hoping it's something useful. Alia, this is a lot to ask, and I mean a lot to ask, but will you fight alongside me and Cat Noir? What? Wait, what? Inside this box is something called a Miraculous. It's an object that will give you special powers. I have to warn you, though, that if you decide to wear it, you'll be the only one able to activate its abilities until the day you die. You'll be putting your life on the line against villains. Hawkmoth, he doesn't care that we're teenagers. He's really trying to kill us, so I'd understand if you... I'm in. Ladybug blinked and went silent for a moment. She then said, Huh? I said I'll do it. I think you missed the part where I said that you could die. Doesn't that scare you? Of course it scares me. It terrifies me. But Alia placed her hands over Ladybug's hands in a tender, sentimental way. It scares me more knowing you're off risking your own life when I could be there making things a bit easier for you. Alia. Look, I know that you and Cat Noir are exhausted, and now I see why. Alia winked at her. So let your friendly neighborhood Alia take some of that load off. Besides, being a superhero sounds awesome. And did you say that this was a miraculous? I'm so excited to learn more about it. Heck yeah, I'm in. Can't let you and Blondie show me up, now can I? She calmed down a bit. In all seriousness, I care about you, Nino, my family, my other friends, and Adrian. I can't just sit by knowing their lives are in danger because of some butterfly-flinging jerk. So let me do something about it. Alia, thank you. Ladybug smiled while wiping away a tear. She then cleared her throat and straightened her posture, properly presenting the miraculous box. Alia Césaire, I present to you this miraculous. Will you use it for the greater good, protect others, and fight against evil? With a salute, Alia declared, You can count on me. She then reached out and took the small box into her hand. When she opened it, she saw a pendant in the shape of a curled foxtail. Taking it out, she saw that it was attached to a chain. It's a necklace? Ladybug nodded. Each miraculous appears to be a piece of jewelry holding mysterious powers. Mine are my earrings. Oh wow, so that's where those earrings came from. Alia began to put the necklace on. What kinds of powers will this give me exactly? To be honest, I'm not quite sure. I sort of just picked it at random, Ladybug told her in a quiet voice. Alia blinked. You what? But just before she can get a response, the moment Alia clicked the necklace into place around her neck, a bright yellow light shot out from it and formed into a glowing sphere that floated before her. Looking at it in awe, Alia saw the sphere's light dim and take the new shape of a small fox-like creature. Hey there, the creature said to Alia. Alia's eyes lit up. Ooh, a small floating animal mascot. Very anime. I approve. The creature looked confused. I'm not quite sure what that means, but you sound excited, so I'll assume it's a good thing. In any case, my name is Trix, and you seem a bit young to be wielding a miraculous. He then looked around the area, and this doesn't seem like the environment I was expecting. Where in Asia are we? Asia? No, you're in Paris, France, Alia told him. Paris? How odd. I guess that explains the Eiffel Tower. Wow, so you know about the Eiffel Tower? And you know about France too? How old are you? Are you from this world? What are you exactly? If little animal creatures come out of the miraculous, I guess that explains the animal/creature theme that all of the superheroes have going on. Alia could barely contain her excitement. You could practically see the stars in her eyes. Huh, young and inexperienced. How very strange. Still, I appreciate your passion, and it certainly seems you're revved up and ready to go. I like a strong spirit. Trix smiled at her. By the way, I didn't catch your name. Oh, I'm Alia Césaire. Nice to meet you, Trix. Ladybug stepped in. Alright, so I know this meeting is super sweet and exciting, but we're kind of in the middle of an emergency, so if you could shorten anything you're gonna say, that would be fantastic. Thank you. Trix looked surprised when he saw her. The Ladybug Miraculous is here too? And you're also very young. Yes, and the Black Cat Miraculous Wielder is currently defending the city and himself against a villain created by the Butterfly Miraculous Wielder, so we really gotta go, Ladybug said in a rush. Seriously? Huh, I really missed a lot, Trix said. Why is it such a big deal that we're young? Alia asked. Young and inexperienced, Trix corrected. Potential wielders usually train a good chunk of their lives learning about the miraculous and training their bodies in the secret arts. In doing all this, they become disciplined and knowledgeable about what they'll be stepping into. That, and adults are more capable of utilizing us Kwame's abilities to their full extent. When you're as young as you are, your magical muscles are weak, so to speak. So even if you fully know what you're doing, you won't be able to perform as impressive feats as you would as an adult. That's why I'm so surprised that you two, and I'm assuming the Black Cat Wielder, were chosen at such young ages. You all must be exceptional. Ladybug just chuckled nervously. How curious it is, though, that you don't know any of this, Trix added. Alia grinned at him.
Well, we'll have plenty of time to learn since it sounds like you and I are in it together for the long haul, Trix. But I can tell my girl Ladybug is getting antsier by the minute, so if you could tell me how I can use your powers, that would be much appreciated. Trix nodded. Got it. I am the Kwame of illusion, so with my help, you'll be able to create any illusion with Mirage. Creating illusions? Sounds pretty sweet. Is it hard to do? Not at all. As long as you believe you can do it, then you'll be able to do it. Within reason, of course. As I mentioned, you won't be able to make as elaborate illusions as you would as an adult, but with time and exposure to the power, you'll be able to. Ladybug blinked in confusion. Wait, believing in yourself, it's not about skill? As long as you are aware of what your power is and have confidence that you can do it, then that's all you need. I'm surprised Tiki didn't tell you. Ladybug blushed and scratched her cheek. She might have mentioned something about it, but when we met, I was so freaked out that I didn't process a lot of what she said. Screams and the sounds of objects breaking could be heard off in the distance. Ladybug looked on towards the direction of the commotion and had a concerned, uneasy expression. That's our cue, Trix, Alia exclaimed. Right. All you need to do is say, let's pounce, and when you're finished doing what you need to do, say, let's rest. Alia nodded. Trix, let's pounce. Trix's body thinned and spiraled into the pendant on the necklace. Alia's body was then consumed by an orange light. When the light died down, she was revealed to be in a fox-themed hero outfit, and her hair dyed reddish and hung up in a ponytail with white tips. Looking down and inspecting herself, Alia's grin widened. Not bad. Not bad at all. Let's go, Ladybug yelled out as she threw her yo-yo and swung towards the direction of the chaos. Alia leapt and followed behind her. Meanwhile, Cat Noir was facing a villain with super speed. The villain was dashing so quickly and violently through the streets that glass shattered and civilians caught out in the open were tossed aside from the Air Force. Shops were being broken into as the villain came out with lightweight, coveted objects. Cat Noir struggled to catch her as he juggled between trying to whack her with his staff and protect civilians before they got seriously injured. By this point, he was breathing heavily and sweating. Just sit still already. Causing this much havoc will not get you what you want.
Au contraire, mon ami,
The villain said.
being this fast is getting me exactly what I want. No one is ever gonna complain again that I'm too slow and that I'm useless. And now, who even needs them when I'm so fast that no one can stop me from getting everything? I can do anything, including getting your Miraculous.
The villain dropped what she was doing and rushed towards Cat, tackling him to the ground, pinning him down. Cat struggled, but he couldn't get the weight of the villain off of him.
Now, where is your Miraculous located?
The villain slyly asked. Without giving it another thought, Cat's hand became engulfed with a black, smokish energy as he touched the ground under him, disintegrating the concrete and creating a deep crater in which they both fell into. Before they could hit the ground below, Cat extended his staff and vaulted himself out of the hole and onto the roof of a nearby building. He sighed in exhaustion. This is the exact kind of villain I didn't need to deal with today. Where are you, Ladybug? Right here, kitty. Ladybug swooped in and landed right next to him. Sorry for making you wait so long. Cat smirked at her. It's okay. You can make it up to me later, even though I was holding down the fort pretty darn well. But in all seriousness, what was it that you needed to do? Just then, Alia, in her superhero outfit, leapt onto the roof, standing beside them, stunning Cat Noir. What did we miss? She asked. Cat's eyes widened. He then pointed to her as he looked over at Ladybug. What? Surprise! Ladybug said with a nervous, high-pitched tone. I brought in the cavalry. Even though it's only one person, but yay, right? Sorry, I'm still processing this, but we actually have another partner? Like, actually? Cat Noir asked, getting progressively more excited. Ladybug nodded. Wow, you were actually able to get Master Fu to speed up the process. I knew you were amazing, Cat Noir said with glee and admiration. Ladybug nervously chuckled and looked away as she said in such a low volume and through gritted teeth that it was difficult to hear, It's actually a bit more complicated than that. Cat Noir then turned to Alia as he gently held up her hand and kissed the back of it. Sorry we didn't get properly introduced. I'm Cat Noir. I'm a huge fan. she told him as she gave a smug smile. "And I look forward to working with you." Releasing her hand, Cat Noir then asked, "So what's your name?" "Well, I haven't thought of a hero name yet, but you and I are pretty well acquainted. I'm the one who took our sleepy friend to the nurse's office earlier today." After thinking it over in silence for the next few moments, Cat Noir then gasped, "Oh!" Ladybug and Alia slapped their hands over Cat's mouth. "Shh! Don't say it out loud. Hawkmoth could be listening in," Ladybug told him. "I know it's surprising, but you've got to keep your cool. We'll talk after the mission is done, okay?" Alia suggested. Cat Noir nodded, and the two girls retracted their hands. "So, what's the situation?" Ladybug asked as the three of them looked down at the scene. "A woman got mad at the world for calling her slow, so now she's super not slow," Cat explained. "Super speed, huh? A bit cliche, but had to be done at some point, I suppose," Alia said. She then noticed the giant hole in the ground. "From what I know about your powers, I'm guessing that's your handiwork?" She gestured to the crater. "It was either that or get my Miraculous stolen," Cat said. "I'll fix it when we're done," Ladybug assured. "Hey, it's really cool how you two balance each other out. He destroys things, Ladybug creates new things. It's such an efficient system," Alia said with an impressed tone. She then jokingly added, "Who am I to break up such a beautiful dynamic?" "We'll allow it, please help us," both Ladybug and Cat Noir said in tandem. Alia giggled. The three of them then looked down at the scene, finally spotting the zippy villain as she caused more havoc in trying to locate Cat. At this point, most of the civilians were hiding either in buildings or tucked away in whatever crevices they could find. "How can we stop someone that fast?" Ladybug asked. "She's so much faster than us that if we were out in the open, we're done for." "Yeah, it's lucky for me she was so distracted by all the shiny objects before deciding it was time to come after me," Cat added. "I'm really sorry for leaving you alone, Kitty. I was reckless." Ladybug's shoulders slumped. Alia shook her head. "No, it's my fault for stopping you, Ladybug, and getting all fangirly and interrogating Trix. I ended up wasting a lot of your time." Cat Noir placed his hand on Ladybug's shoulder while addressing them both. "It's all in the past. You're here now, and we all still have our Miraculouses. We can still win this." Alia and Ladybug nodded confidently to him. Ladybug then said, "Yeah, you're right. Still, this is tricky. We need to lay some sort of trap for her." I know this is a bit soon, considering I just got here, but I think I have an idea," Alia said. Ladybug and Cat Noir's faces lit up. "Really?" "Yeah, we'll have to act quickly, though, as to not ruin the illusion." "What exactly are your powers, anyway?" Cat asked her. Alia simply grinned at him. The villain sprinted through the nearby city blocks, trying to locate her foe.
Come out wherever you are,"
she taunted. Spotting a hidden civilian, she devilishly grinned.
"Guess I'll have to give you a little incentive."
But just as she began her dash, a tall brick wall materialized out of nowhere right in front of her. Seeing the threat, she instantly put on the brakes before she had a chance to slam right into it.
"Where the heck did this come from?"
As soon as she asked that, another wall appeared at both of her sides and behind her as well. She was tightly trapped.
How is this possible?"
She turned herself around, trying to find a way out.
"Let me out of here!"
she screeched. Just then, she felt something latch onto her ankles. The villain looked down and saw half of Ladybug's body laying on the ground, phasing through the wall. She was giving the villain a smug look after finishing putting handcuffs on her ankles. Before the villain had the time to properly react, Cat Noir jumped through the wall as if it were nothing, kicking the villain in the back, causing her to phase through the wall and fall to the ground with a thud. She could no longer get up and zip around.
"No! How could you even do that? It's not possible! I'm too fast for you!"
The villain cried out, attempting to stand up. Ladybug got up onto her feet. "That's true, but thanks to a bit of cleverness from a new friend, we were able to win the race." The walls then vanished into thin air as the new fox hero was revealed, holding up a flute in the playing position. She then lowered her weapon. "I figured you'd see through the ruse the moment you tried to touch the wall, so we really had to book it to get this to work. So in a sense, we were actually too fast for you. Don't mess with the heroes." She held up her fists and Cat Noir and Ladybug simultaneously gave her fist bumps.
"What the? A third one? There's a third one?"
The villain asked in disbelief. "Yep, isn't it awesome?" Cat Noir giddily praised. "Rena Rouge, at your service." She gave an eloquent bow.
Rena Rouge? Ladybug asked. She nodded. I've been thinking about it since the moment I transformed, and I finally came up with a name. Does it sound good? Ladybug smiled and nodded at her. It suits you. Now then, ladies, if you don't mind, I already spotted the object with the Akuma in it during our little cat and mouse game. Cat Noir sauntered up to the villain and took the object in question. Using Cataclysm, he destroyed the object and the dark butterfly came floating out. Capturing it in his hand with no problem, Cat used his power to purify the creature and sent the white glowing butterfly flying off into oblivion. The villain's body was consumed by purple energy that soon dissipated, leaving a regular and confused-looking civilian. Was that a dream? Or did that actually happen? She asked in a daze. In attempting to get up, she found that her ankles were being held together. So it wasn't a dream after all. Ladybug knelt down to face her. Sorry about that. I'll free you right now. Rena Rouge then gasped loudly. Oh crud! Mom! Cat Noir gave her a puzzled expression. That's your mom? No! I just remembered that I told my mom I was going to get my homework from someone. I've been gone way too long. I need to head back. Then you better get going. We've got this. Thanks for your help, Ladybug told her. Rena gave her comrades one final smile before leaping away. After a few moments, Ladybug freed the civilian, who then apologized profusely for the trouble. Ladybug and Cat Noir were then left before the messy city streets with some damaged shops. The most notable of the damage were broken windows and the gigantic crater created by Cat. Well, it could be worse, Cat said. Ladybug stretched her arms upwards and then to her sides. I can definitely fix the hole in some windows, but I'll be spent after that. I'd like to think the police can handle the rest. In the meantime, you make sure the people are all right. Cat Noir saluted her. Aye aye, m'lady. The two of them then got to work. After everything was said and done, Ladybug and Cat Noir were once again sitting on the edge of a tall rooftop looking over the city lights. For a while, they sat in silence, but there was a bit of unresolved tension in the air. Hey, Ladybug? Yeah? How exactly did you get Rena's Miraculous? Ladybug went silent, and she was unable to comfortably look over at her partner. I didn't react when you said it, but I did hear you when you said it was complicated. Ladybug remained silent as her frown grew, a sickly feeling bubbling up in her stomach. I promise I won't be mad, he told her. After thinking it over for a few seconds, Ladybug quietly said, I have a feeling you already know, because it's actually really obvious. She paused, waiting for him to respond, but he courteously stayed quiet. Ladybug sighed. I stole it. Cat Noir faced forward, hanging his head down a bit. He looked down at nothing in particular with a somber expression. How? He asked. After the Akuma attack began, I went back to Master Fu's place. When I got there, I knocked, expecting an answer, but there wasn't one. So I took a chance and made a master key to open his door. I crept through the house, keeping an eye out for him, but I couldn't find him. What I did find was the miracle box. It was just sitting there. One thing led to another, and I ended up taking the Fox Miraculous. I actually had every intention to get two of them, but I felt so bad and I was so freaked out by what I was doing that I could only grab one. I ran out of there as soon as possible. I have no idea if I even left any evidence or not, but considering how seriously he takes his job, Master Fu probably knows. Did you go there specifically to steal one? Cat Noir asked, also avoiding eye contact. Ladybug went silent again. Cat sighed. You did. It's not like I was going to force Master Fu to give it to me or anything, Ladybug excitedly said as she turned to face him. I wasn't even going to fight him about it. To be honest, if he was there, I probably would have chickened out. It's just, I was so desperate and I'm so tired that I made a terrible judgment call. She buried her face in her hands. That's such a lame excuse. I'm just the worst. You are not the worst, Cat Noir impassionately assured as he turned to face her. If you didn't do what you did, one or both of us might have been in serious trouble tonight. Ladybug lowered her hands but remained downtrodden. I guess. To be honest, more than anything, I just want to know why you didn't tell me your plan from the start. I trust you. Don't you trust me? Cat asked. Of course I trust you. It was just, such a last-minute thing that I didn't have time to explain it. Her and Kat's eyes finally met, and she could see the concern in his. She then sighed and looked away. Well, that's partially true. I guess I was also scared about what you'd think about me. And I don't mean it in a you won't have feelings for me anymore type of way, more of in a you won't think I'm a good person anymore type of way. Okay, first of all, I do still have feelings for you, and second, it would take a lot, and I mean a lot, for me to not think of you as a good person, Kat told her. Why would you think I'd think that? Because I'm basically a criminal, she cried out. I stole something. Am I even worthy of being a superhero? I did exactly what Hawkmoth did to get his Miraculous, betraying someone who cared about him. I couldn't help but think that you'd see me as being the same as him, and I couldn't help but make you remember what he did and making you feel bad. It's such a messy situation that I just short-circuited. Ladybug then hung her head in shame as she caught her breath. Realizing how highly she thought of his opinion of her and how she was trying to take his feelings into account made Kat feel kind of good about himself, while also making him feel a tad guilty for making her feel like she had to put herself in this stressful situation. He placed a comforting hand on her shoulder and gave her a small, warm smile. You are nothing like Hawkmoth, okay? So no worries there. He's routinely putting people in danger, intentionally, and is literally trying to kill us. He has good intentions-ish, but with the way he's acting, he is, in every sense, a villain. You, on the other hand, are busting your butt to keep people safe, all while trying to stay alive. All you want to do is good, and anyone with at least half a brain cell can see that you're a good person. It's as simple as this. Hawkmoth is trying to hurt people, and you are trying to save people. You are 1000% a hero, and again, if you didn't do what you did, we'd be in trouble. So, buck up, Bugaboo, he smirked at her. Ladybug sniffed and gave him a sideways smile. I thought I told you that name was off limits. It's not if it gets you to smile. Ladybug blushed a bit and then shoved his shoulder with her hand in a playful manner. All right, I'll allow it that one time, but no more. They then sat in comfortable silence as they continued to watch the city lights. Thanks again, Kitty. Anytime, milady. Meanwhile, in a secret location, Gabriel Agreste sat in his recliner chair, leaning forward, pinching the nerve between his eyes as he pondered to himself. Nuru timidly and quietly floated nearby. So, that old fool actually did it. He distributed a new Miraculous. I'll admit, he actually surprised me with that. Despite his trauma, he's willing to create more heroes in order to stop me. This could potentially escalate and get out of hand. I must not underestimate the current situation. Gabriel sat up in his chair. Was it really an accident that that teenage girl got the Ladybug Miraculous as he said? Or was he planning this all along? Yes, that's it. He must have somehow known that I would use the Miraculous to bring Emily back, and he's denying me that right because of his values. But why teenagers? How is it that the Black Cat Miraculous suddenly comes into play after years of being missing, and then shows up in the hands of yet another teenager? And now the Fox Miraculous holder is another teenager? There's no practical reason to give children such powerful artifacts, unless he knows something I don't. Why use teenagers? And where did they come from? He's not randomly picking them. Even if by some chance the Ladybug Miraculous did mistakenly end up with a teen, there's no way that the Black Cat and Fox also just so happened to end up with teenagers as well. No, they're coming from somewhere. And they can't be complete strangers, at least not to Fu, because it would be suspicious to anyone for an old man to approach random teens like that. And those three acted awfully familiar with each other. The benefit to using teenagers against me. He suddenly remembered the final night he was in his mansion. He recalled the confrontation with his son Adrian, whom he locked away in his room, and then Ladybug and Cat Noir appeared to take Gabriel's Miraculous, telling him that they had Adrian in a safe location. Gabriel stroked his chin. How did Ladybug and Cat Noir react so quickly to that confrontation? If I were a betting man, I'd say that they were individuals who are around Adrian regularly, probably guarding him from me. Considering they are children, they can't protect him all day. They must go to school. So the most likely place that they are coming from is
Are you all right, Gabriel? Natalie asked as she brought him a fresh hot cup of tea. You've been awfully quiet for the past couple of hours. I'm sorry your plan didn't work out. All things considered, it was a very good plan. We just didn't expect to see a new Miraculous user. If you couldn't have predicted that would happen, then who could have? She handed him the cup. Tomorrow is another day. For now, get some rest and don't let this weigh down on your mind. Turns out you were right, Natalie, Gabriel began to say. Natalie's eyes widened from the admittance. I shouldn't waste so much energy bombarding them with champions to fight day after day. We must be smarter about this if we want to see quick results. Yes, of course. Do you have something in particular in mind? She asked him. Gabriel grinned menacingly. I have a few ideas. The next day, visitors came to Master Fu's domain and sat around his table. Explain yourselves now, he demanded them. It was Ladybug and Cat Noir, but it wasn't just them. Rena Rouge sat with them, and next to her was a hooded figure.
Please don't be mad at them, Master Fu. Be mad at me. It's all my fault, Ladybug admitted.
Oh, and what exactly is your fault? The old man sternly asked her. Ladybug looked down at her fidgety hands before taking a deep breath and exhaling. She then pulled her head up and confidently spoke. I'm the one who snuck in here and took the Fox Miraculous without your consent. Cat Noir had no idea what my plan was. I did it on my own. Master Fu peered over at Rena Rouge, who, for some reason, also appeared a bit guilty. So you did, he said. Ladybug bowed to him in repentance as she cried out, I am so sorry for stealing from you. I was scared and tired and I didn't know what to do. I thought it was the only way. With all due respect, sir, if Ladybug hadn't stolen the Miraculous, ours would have been taken by Hawkmoth, Cat Noir told him. Rena Rouge here literally saved our butts. Rena flashed Cat a sassy smile before she spoke to Fu. And I know you don't know me, like, at all, and I had no idea about any of this until Ladybug gave me my Miraculous, but I can't help but feel a bit responsible in this as well. So, this may not mean much coming from a complete stranger, but I promise to give this hero duty my all. So I promise this Miraculous won't be wasted on me. You can believe her on that, sir, said the hooded figure who was revealed to be Nino in disguise. You won't find anyone more dedicated than Rena. And who are you? You weren't given a Miraculous, Master Fu accused.
He's a friend of ours, Ladybug explained. In fact, he's one of my best friends. He, Rena, and I have been together since practically forever. It was tearing me up inside to not tell them something as important as this. Of course, I understand why it was a secret, but since Rena knows, it seemed only fair to tell our other friend. I mean, Cat, Rena, and I can't just keep this monumental secret from the friend we hang out with all the time, someone who was practically my brother. It just didn't seem right.
Master Fu sighed. And the recklessness continues. That is not a good justification for revealing yourselves. All of the teens hung their heads and went silent. Don't you understand how serious this is? All Hawkmoth needs to do is wait for one of you to get upset enough for him to akumatize you. The more people who know Ladybug and Cat Noir's identities, the higher chance he has in finding them and getting what he wants. Ladybug tried to intervene.
I know, but...
How long have they known your secret for? Fu asked.
Rena found out yesterday. You can't blame them for me finding out, Rena interrupted. I figured it out on my own. Ladybug and Cat Noir were being completely responsible.
And yet, Ladybug stole from me and made the call to give you the Miraculous without my consent.
Hearing that made Rena shrink down a bit in awkwardness. Yeah, well...
And if Ladybug and Cat Noir are as responsible as you say, then was it you who told the hooded one here?
Well... Rena began to speak, but Ladybug answered on her behalf. We all decided to tell him. Earlier today. Like I said, it didn't feel right to keep him in the dark.
With all due respect, sir, Nino added, they made sure that no one else was around. It was just the four of us in my room, and everything was said in a whisper. Flashback to earlier in the day when Alia, Marinette, and Adrian came over to Nino's house to get some homework done. When they made sure the coast was clear, they told Nino to sit down and not freak out.
Once he agreed, they revealed their kwamis, Tiki, Plag, and Trix, to which Nino reacted strongly by letting out a loud, "Whoa!" and leaning back so far that he fell back onto the floor with a loud thud, to which the others frantically checked if he was okay, and he was, while the kwamis looked on in a mixture of confusion, concern, and ever so slight amusement. Back in the present, Nino said, "Honestly, I think the whole experience brought us closer together." Master Fu then turned his back to them, and after a few moments of silence, Ladybug spoke up.
I wish there was a way for me to make this up to you. I wish you could understand how sorry I am for betraying your trust. I can't even make up for it by giving back my Miraculous. I don't know where we can go from here. Master Fu remained silent as the weight of the tension pushed down on the teens.
I have no way of punishing you, Master Fu finally said, still not turning to face them. I have no authority over any of you. Then again, I could always call the police for theft. After all, I have proof that that necklace was mine.
The idea of going to jail freaked Ladybug out as her eyes went wide with concern. Kat stepped in on her behalf. "You can't do,
but of course, that would only complicate things," Master Fu continued. "It would make for a very messy situation. Besides, you're no criminal, Ladybug."
Hearing that made the heroine gasp.
What?
Finally, the old man turned around to face them, a remorseful frown on his face.
"What you did was dishonest and even illegal, of course, but one must not look at the situation in merely black and white. After all, I must accept some of the blame as well."
Ladybug and her friends looked up at Fu in surprise. He continued,
"Both Hawkmoth and I backed you into a corner and put you and Cat Noir in a desperate situation. Neither of you kids chose this life, but were forced into a very scary situation. And for me to say that you have to simply deal with it was wrong on my part, and for that, I apologize."
He returned her bow with one of his own. Ladybug was left without words.
"And if a fear of yours was that you'd turn out like Hawkmoth, fear not, child. The fact that you came to me to admit your wrongdoing and ask forgiveness shows a lot about your character. You are honest, sincere, and a hard worker, and so is Cat Noir. I may not have chosen you two to wield these Miraculous, but I don't necessarily think that you were the wrong choices. Only the future will be able to tell if that judgment call of mine is correct or not. But for now, I trust you."
Touched by his words, Ladybug smiled at him.
Thank you, Master Fu, and sorry again.
"Honestly, I'm really relieved that there's no bad blood between us," Kat said. "Just to be clear though, I was 100% ready to fight you if you actually decided to call the cops on Ladybug."
"Hey genius, maybe don't say something like that after getting off the hook," Rena scolded.
"You were also 100% ready to throw down for the exact same reason," Nino told her. Rena blushed after getting called out.
Yeah, so? Ladybug's my girl. Besides, unlike Cat Noir, I didn't openly brag about it."
"I don't know if I'd call that bragging, per se," Kat added.
"I'm super impressed by how comfortable you all suddenly became," Ladybug chimed in with an apprehensive grin.
Master Fu chuckled.
"You sure are a lively bunch. But still, I would have rather the secret be kept from that one," he gestured to Nino. "But what's done is done. I'll have no choice but to trust you, young man."
"You won't be disappointed, sir," Nino affirmed.
"We'll see about that. And what exactly should I call you?" Fu asked him.
"Well, I guess I can't use my real name, so call me Shadow Master." He said that last bit in a low-quality, intimidating tone. Master Fu simply blinked at him as he was completely dumbfounded. Ladybug face-palmed. "I like it," Kat called out. "Just call him Oliver," Rena said. "Why Oliver?" Nino asked.
"Because you're Mr. Olive Branch of Peace, that's why."
Nino thought about it. "You know what? That checks out. All right, call me Oliver, the Shadow Master." "How about that last part be in parentheses, okay, babe?" Rena suggested. "As long as it's there, I'm happy," Nino said. Largely ignoring most of what just happened, Fu then turned to face Rena.
"And you are certainly spirited. Rena Rouge, was it? I am Master Wong Fu, guardian of the Asian Miracle Box. I look forward to working with you." Right back at ya, she gave him a wide grin. Master Fu cleared his throat as he addressed everyone. Anyway, there is some important information I wanted to share with Ladybug and Cat Noir that I guess is pertinent to you all. I've received word from our allies in Japan. Apparently, they've already sent over a hero to assist in our cause. They arrived not too long ago. Ladybug and Cat Noir's eyes lit up in amazement and disbelief. Really? Master Fu, they actually sent someone to us? As in, they're in Paris? Right now? Ladybug asked. The old man nodded. That's what I've been told. That's great news. Maybe Ladybug didn't have to steal that Miraculous after all, Cat shouted out excitedly. That actually only made Ladybug feel more guilty as she sank back in her chair, wallowing in self-pity. Wait, hold on. Sorry, I didn't mean to make you feel bad, milady, Cat tried to explain. Slow your roll there, Catboy, Rena said. Even if that new Miraculous holder was here, they didn't exactly help out in that fight last night. If they were going to help out, then that was the time to do it. Since Mystery Person was a no-show, then Ladybug still made the correct call. Feeling slightly better, Ladybug asked in a weakened tone, That's true. I wonder why they didn't do anything. I suppose it's possible they didn't know an attack was happening. Do you know who the Miraculous holder is? Or even what their Miraculous is? Fu shook his head. I don't. While communicating with me over the phone, they wanted to conceal the person's identity. I suppose out of caution given the current situation. However, once I see the Miraculous in use, I'll know who it is. Cat Noir frowned. So we're still technically on our own until they decide to reveal themselves? I guess that's exactly what that means, Rena confirmed. Ugh, this is so frustrating, Cat groaned. He sighed. Oh well. I do appreciate that you actually sent out an SOS for us, Master Fu. It feels good knowing without a doubt that we have more reinforcements on the way. In the meantime, Master Fu, Ladybug began to ask, I was actually wondering if you'd be willing to give, Oliver a Miraculous, by any chance? But before Fu had a chance to respond, Nino cut in. No, I don't need one. I am perfectly fine playing support on the sidelines for now. I could be your civilian liaison. I'll be undercover for the cause. Besides, I had enough excitement the other day after almost getting crushed by rubble. I'm good for now. Aw, it would have been super fun to fight alongside you, Rena pouted, but then she perked up. Oh well, you'll still always be my hero, miraculous or no miraculous. She smiled at him and he blushed, smiling back. Master Fu stroked his beard. Interesting. What is? Ladybug asked. He shook his head. Never you mind. Now, off you all go. I'm glad we had this time to talk, but I've got things I need to do. The teen stood up and headed towards the door. And remember, whenever you arrive, come in your hero form. Oliver, get a better disguise or a bigger hood. They all gave him various forms of compliance replies before heading on out the door. When he closed the door behind them, he sighed and just waited next to it to ensure that their presence was no longer felt. You could always help them out in the field, Master, said a voice. Fu turned around to face the source of the voice. It was a small green Kwami with an antenna and a turtle shell on his back. You know I can't do that, Waze. Not after the mistake I made. But that was so long ago, you can't hold yourself accountable for something outside of your control. Besides, these kids need you, and I know you feel bad for not being there for them more often. I'll do my best to support and guide them when necessary, but I refuse to get involved in such a way that even more people will get hurt. No, all things considered, I think things are progressing just fine as is, Fu told him. You know, almost every major good thing that's happened so far in relation to recent events was mainly because of luck and good timing, right? Waze pointed out. Fu smiled to himself as he walked towards the window, revealing rain clouds gathering in the sky. Maybe a little luck is what we need right now. On the other side of town, Chloe walked along the sidewalk, slowly shuffling her feet as if she had no motivation to get anywhere. She wasn't even completely tuned into what was happening. She was too stuck in the fog clouding her brain. When arriving in front of an expensive clothing shop, she stopped in her tracks once something caught her eye. It was a large poster of a girl who looked very similar to Chloe, only slightly leaner and a few years older. The model was smiling happily and beautifully in her fashionable outfit as the sunlight kissed her skin. Below the designer name was the name of the model, Zoe Lee. Keeping an apathetic expression, Chloe slowly reached for her phone and unlocked the screen. She went into her text messages that were sent from Zoe Lee. In the text thread, there was a picture of the model and Chloe's mother hugging each other and grinning at the camera. The attached text read, "Wish you were here, little sis." The model was wearing the exact same outfit as in the fashion poster. As Chloe held the phone, she tightened her grip on it more and more to the point of feeling pain, to the point that her hand shook. It was then that it started to rain rather heavily. Most people in the background were running for cover, but being soaked didn't faze Chloe at all. She just continued to see that she looked at the image on her phone. And then all of a sudden, the rain stopped pouring. No, wait. That couldn't be right. She could still hear the rain and see it in her periphery. Then why wasn't it falling on her anymore? Chloe then noticed a shadow over her. It was an umbrella. She turned around and realized that that boy from before, Luca, was holding the umbrella over her head to shield her from the rain. He was giving her a warm, kind smile. But for now, that's all there is. There isn't any more.